because I know that managers last year's performances have been sacked for less. But what they did was they stuck with him, and he learned as well. It's almost a similar players. He's brought one or two in. Watkins is huge. Martinez in goal is just as important. But and Cash at right back. But if you look at, Hause and McGinn and Targett and Ghazi, Grealish, they're all the nucleus, and Mings, then the nucleus is the same. So what he's done is he's started to improve the players that are within the squad, and he's brought in better additions. They spent 150 million the season before last. I think they've spent half that, but they've actually thought about who they're bringing in and how important an impact they have on the team. And if you look at Watkins, fantastic impact. You have to say he's been absolutely brilliant.
I wonder whether the change of sporting director this summer, because there was a lot of criticism of Suso prior to him and his recruitment. I wonder whether Johan Lange, the man that come in from Midtjylland in Scandinavia, has made a big difference there. We'll talk a little bit about that with Paul Mortimer very, very shortly as we build up. What are we? A little over 20 minutes away now from kick-off at Villa Park, where Aston Villa will play Crystal Palace on Premier League Live.
By demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at TalkSport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to TalkSport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Golf! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10 when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. TalkSport. It's the double O duo of the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents, and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. TalkSport.
Welcome back, building up to Aston Villa against Crystal Palace, but rarely for the Premier League in this current strange era of no supporters during the coronavirus pandemic. At this stage, near enough for a lot of the country anyway. We have two games on at the same time. Who'd have thought that was possible? No games in the, no fans, I should say, in the game at Fulham. They host Southampton this afternoon. Your match commentator for Premier League Live is Martin Hopkins.
Fulham head coach Scott Parker is self-isolating, so his assistant Stuart Gray, a former Southampton player and boss, and Matt Wells take charge this afternoon. The Cottagers make 3 changes to their starting 11 as the home side look to build upon their improved form and claw their way out of the bottom 3. Defender Joachim Andersen is available after the successful appeal against his sending off at Newcastle last week, but on loan Mario Lemina is absent as he is ineligible against his parent club. Also dropping out are Alexander Mitrovic and Tom Kearney, so Ivan Cavallero, Harrison Reed and Bobby De Cordova-Reid come into the home side. Meantime, visitors Southampton are 7th, arguably playing their best top-flight football in 3 decades. Saints boss Ralph Hasenhüttl makes 4 changes to the starting 11 that lost 1-0 at home to Manchester City in their last Premier League outing. Midfielder Oriol Romeu is missing through suspension, and Danny Ings, Yannick Vestergaard and Moussa Djenepo are injured, so Shane Long, Jack Stevens, Ibrahima Diallo for his first start and Stuart Armstrong come into the visiting side. It's Fulham against Southampton on Premier League Live.
I was going to say, Paul, I can't wait for that game because, but obviously we'll be watching ours at the same time, so very difficult to not wait for something I'll miss. But the point being, Fulham are drastically improved recently.
It's Fulham against Southampton.
You're never 100% sure. I was going to say, Paul, I can't wait for that game because, but obviously we'll be watching ours at the same time, so very difficult to not wait for something I'll miss. But the point being, Fulham are drastically improved recently, and Southampton, you're never 100% sure what you're going to get, despite all the accolades that they're rightfully receiving.
Well, Southampton are a team whose tails are up. They're incredibly confident, and the breed, the type of football they play relies on confidence. If they're not confident, it's very difficult to implement that high pressing, because when you press high, it's a gamble. Because if one player isn't focused, it leaves so many doors open, and a lot of teams set traps for teams like Southampton who play that way, and they do gamble. And when it works, that they're a fantastic side. When it doesn't, they could get well beat. Although I look at Fulham, and Fulham have somewhat of a soft centre. They've been tougher recently. Yeah. So
the Liverpool performance was outstanding.
Exactly. So if that Fulham turn up, this will be a very competitive game, of which I'm not quite sure how it will end up, but there'll be goals in it.
Hasenhüttl, where do you sit with him? Because he sort of splits opinion a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does polarise opinion without a doubt. I mean, but you have to look at their record since they got beat 9-0. You have to look at their record since then. Yeah. He's learnt a lot from it. He understands the Premier League. He understands how his team need to play. And from what I gather, he's done a really huge job behind the scenes in terms of all the way down to academy level, sort of really looking at the way he wants the club to be run as a football entity, and how he wants the tactics to be, the way the players are going to be educated on how to play football, so that everyone has bought into how he wants the team to play, because it is bearing fruit at the moment.
He is extremely highly regarded in Germany, it has to be said, has been linked with the Borussia Dortmund job in recent weeks, although the feeling is it'll probably go elsewhere. Maybe he doesn't even want to leave Southampton yet, but I wonder whether at some point he might be attracted away. We wait and see. There are, of course, more games after our one, and indeed Fulham Southampton today. Arsenal Chelsea is at 5:30. Oh, that's a tasty one, isn't it? And then Man City Newcastle at the same time. Sheffield United against Everton. You will, of course, hear all of them on Premier League Live. Let's hear now from the under fire Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta. He's admitted if they don't win in their next 3, they'll be in a relegation battle, but he insists beating Chelsea would be the very best way for Arsenal to bounce back.
But the best boost, the best medicine when you are in this situation is to win a football match. Every defeat is another hurting moment, is another moment of disappointment, is another moment that you have to lift up yourself, and that takes a lot of energy. So I think the best medicine for all of us would be to come here against Chelsea, beat them, and move from there. And this is exactly what we all need.
Can't see it, can you, Morts?
No. No, I genuinely feel sorry for him at the moment. Two things are happening. Fancy football, put that to one side. They need to roll their sleeves. He needs soldiers in there. He needs people who are going to roll their sleeves up and prepared to go out on their shield, and he doesn't have them. One of my old coaches the way he used to categorise players was he called them stars, co-stars or extras. If you look at Arsenal, they've got extras who think they're stars but are playing like co-stars. They're all over the place at the moment, so there's an identity crisis there. They have to realise they're all playing like extras, mate, and you know, they need to roll their sleeves up together and fight. It's not about fancy football now. It's not about, you know, free flow. It's about digging out results, and it's not about winning games. It's about registering points. You know, they can't win games, so don't talk about winning. Talk about stopping the other opponent scoring, and 0-0 will do.
You're never going to win Arsenal fans over with that sort of talk, though, are you? He knows that. I mean, he's been a player there. He knows all about the club. He's come from the sort of Man City philosophy as well, where it's all about winning. I can't see in this sort of, you know, Arsenal fan TV generation that we're ever going to get a position where it's acceptable for an Arsenal coach to be saying, we've got to try and stop the opposition scoring, we've got to try and find points rather than wins.
Well, the thing about it is they have to, what I think happens with a lot of Arsenal fans is they've lost touch with reality. They're 4 points off 18th place. You know, they've got no wins. They've drawn 1 and lost 4 of their last 5 games. They're in a relegation fight. They're a hop, skip and a jump away from it. So, irrespective of what Arsenal TV thinks, irrespective of anything else, Arteta's got to say, we've got a fight in our hands. And the problem you have with the teams that, like Arsenal, when you're down there and you're not confident, they don't have the players that roll their sleeves up and fight, because they've got top 5 players who play a different type of football. They haven't got players who are going to hoof it in the channel and go and play knockdown football, because that's what you need to do to give yourself the confidence. You're not going to get out of it by playing fancy football. You're just not, because you give the ball away too often and you're inconsistent, and because they have a soft centre, it sounds really weird, but they've got to play their football 50 yards away from their goal.
Just to finish the story about your former coach, presumably he wasn't knocking the extras. You need them. Just you also need some of the others, presumably.
Well, it's about identity crisis. You know, you've got some players who've got an inflated ego who think they're stars. Fantastic, put in star performances, but they're not putting in star performances, and that's the problem. You know, you've got people who are on big money, and put that to one side. You know, you've got people who I think have the millstone around their neck of a hefty price tag, who are really struggling, and they've got 7 or 8 in the side who you can't afford to carry, and you're carrying too many.
A bunch of Paul Pogbas rather than Bruno Fernandes's, I guess is the point you're making.
No, don't diss Pogba. He's my man. I'll have him all day long.
Oh, okay.
I'll have him all day long. Put him to one side. Don't even go there. Don't get me started. But no, you're right. In the current climate, you're right. You need people who are going to fight. That's what they need, and play ugly. This is about matching people for the ugly stuff that unfortunately the likes of Arsenal don't normally see, because their talent frightens the other teams normally.
Let's put a temporary lid on that particular can of worms, at least then we can reopen it at another time. In the meantime, what about Manchester City? They host Newcastle this evening. We all know that it's not going their way at the moment. City, generally speaking, at least 3 wins from their last 5 is not usual form for Manchester City. It's normally 5 from 5, isn't it? They're currently 8th in the table. Depending on what happens today, they'll drop behind Aston Villa with only a draw for Villa today. Let's hear from Pep Guardiola. He says it's impossible to say if they can make up the big old gap, what's already 8 points to Liverpool, to launch a title challenge.
So everyone asks me sometimes prediction, what will be the future? I'm not a magician, so I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So all I can say is recover the players and prepare Newcastle as well as possible. And the league will dictate how is our position and the position of the rivals. So it's sooner or later is your job. So because I cannot say what's going to happen in the future.
He says he's not a magician. He has been a magician with his tactics in the past. Have teams managed to find them out, or is it just the 2020-21 season?
Well, I think a couple of things have happened, and the Manchester derby was the one. I think it frightened him because of how stale and sanitised their football was. You know, you saw Man City pass the ball with no direction or no desire or confidence or bottle or courage, because normally they put the ball at risk in the way they play. That frightened him, because I don't think he saw that coming. So you look at them at the moment, and they are nothing like, the names would normally frighten you. The first 5 minutes would frighten you. Doesn't happen anymore. That veneer of invincibility is gone from Man City, and they are beatable. I think this is his biggest challenge as a top flight manager. If he can get a trophy this season, this would be, I think, one of his biggest achievements, because he's got a side who are not reflective of what their manager wants from them at the moment.
You'd never back against him, though, would you?
Not with the quality he's got, to be truthful. Because if they click for 5 minutes, they're capable of winning the game. But whereas they used to control the game for 90 or whatever it was minutes, that's not happening. Opponents are now putting them under pressure and are letting them have the ball in areas that don't hurt. And, too many of the players have been misfiring consistently as well.
It's going to be interesting to see how they manage to beat the famous Steve Bruce block later on when they host Newcastle United. Tom Rennie and Dave Kitson will bring you that one. Arsenal-Chelsea will be Barry Swain and Kev Watson. That's the one immediately after what we're watching between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. I'm really, really looking forward to this one. We'll hear from Roy Hodgson, the Palace manager, in his 341st Premier League game as a boss later on. But first, what about Dean Smith in his 100th game in charge of Villa?
That game for me is a one-off. It doesn't happen very often. There was a spell at 0-0 and 1-0 where they were in the game and the goalkeepers made some good saves. I expect Crystal Palace to come here. Yes, they'll be smarting by that defeat, but they've shown enough in recent performances to know that they're a good enough team in this Premier League, and we have to be at our best against them.
I've had plenty of heavy defeats in the past, not quite as many goals, but there's been a few 4s and 5s along the way that I can remember, even recent ones, and some of them have been very concerning because the way the team played. That actually wasn't the case against Liverpool.
I think we've just proven that the last couple of games. We had 4 changes, 4 first starts of the season against Burnley, and had 27 shots, and it was a very one-sided game. El Ghazi's kept his place in the team. Bert's kept his place in the team against West Bromwich Albion. So Courtney Hause has come in and kept his place in the team, 2 clean sheets. So they've proven to me already that the strength of depth is there. Al Mohammadi came in for his first start. Marvellous Nakamba as well. So I think we've proven that the depth is there. I think the players are proving that they're training well enough to be ready for that opportunity when it comes around.
Surprised, I guess, only in the sense that you never know how long it's going to take a player to really get his feet under the table in a new football club and to adjust to a different level of football. That's always a concern for you. But if you believe in the player's talent and you believe in what he's going to bring to the team, and you've signed him for what he can bring to the team, then you don't need to be too surprised. You just have to be pleased, really, and happy that it's gone so well so early for a player that is going to be a big advantage and give a big advantage to his football club in the years to come.
That was Roy Hodgson there finishing up talking about Eberechi Eze, who will start again for Crystal Palace this afternoon. Boxing Day football. It is the traditional day in my mind of a Premier League season. We perhaps don't get quite as much as we used to in terms of the number of matches being played, but it's still one to look forward to. No less than this afternoon's one at one of the traditional grounds of English football, Villa Park. Aston Villa against Crystal Palace is coming up. You're listening to Premier League Live.
TalkSport. Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at TalkSport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to TalkSport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Goff! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport. Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs on Sport. TalkSport. It's the double O duo of the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksby and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksby and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on TalkSport.
TalkSport.
Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com.
Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder.
TalkSport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Aston Villa against Crystal Palace from Villa Park. I'm your match commentator this afternoon, Toby Gillis, alongside me with the former Aston Villa, the former Crystal Palace winger. It's Paul Mortimer. This is Premier League Live. Well, 2 milestones for the coaches today. Dean Smith with his 100th game in charge of a team that he supported as a boy, and Roy Hodgson, 341 games as a Premier League manager. That takes him into the top 10. Quite some achievement for both. Let's run you through the 2 11s once again. Villa, no change at all from a 3-0 win against West Brom last time out. 200th appearance therefore for the Aston Villa captain Jack Grealish. He plays in the middle of a 3 supporting Ollie Watkins, but the team from back to front: Emiliano Martinez. Then from right to left, Matty Cash, Courtney Hause, Tyrone Mings and Matt Targett, the defensive 4. Douglas Luiz and John McGinn, the midfield pairing. Then in the attack, Bertrand Traore, Jack Grealish and Ghazi supporting Ollie Watkins up front. Crystal Palace's last game was a 7-0 home defeat by Liverpool. 3 changes from that one. Nathaniel Clyne and Jordan Ayew dropped down onto the substitutes bench. Gary Cahill is injured, so in come Joel Ward, Scott Dan and Christian Benteke, who's back from suspension. They have Vicente Guaita in goal, Joel Ward, Sheku Kouyate, Scott Dan and Patrick Van Aanholt at the back, Jeffrey Schlupp, Luka Milivojevic the captain, James McArthur and Eberechi Eze in midfield, and Wilfried Zaha is alongside Benteke up top. Our referee today is Anthony Taylor. It'll be Crystal Palace that get us underway this afternoon as the players, as is traditional now, take the knee before kick-off, and Palace in their white jerseys with blue and red stripes, white shorts and white socks do get us underway, shooting from right to left at Villa Park in what is a relatively mild Boxing Day afternoon. And, well, it is a clash of styles, a clash of cultures, I think it's fair to say, Paul. And Villa, I suppose, generally speaking, start as favourites, even if their home form's not necessarily been the best recently.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Their home form isn't great, and I think Roy Hodgson and his staff will know that, make it difficult for Villa. But, you know, you look at Palace and on the counter-attack, I think they've got strength in terms of Benteke. They've got pace in terms of Zaha and Eze. Here we are. Here's a chance.
Yeah, goodness me. Zaha's going through here. It's got past the keeper, but he did get enough on it, did Emiliano Martinez, to at least prevent too much power on it, and it allowed Mings to get in behind to clear it away for a throw on this near side.
Well, he should score. Simple as that. I mean, we're 50 seconds in, and Palace should be 1-0 up. It's a simple pass played through. I don't know what Bertrand Traore is trying to do. It's pass back to the goalkeeper, but it's a simple pass. Yeah, hit as a simple pass played through, and he's in now. He's being pushed a little bit by Mings, but for me, should score, and that will give them confidence. It will just knock the wind out of Villa a little, who may have to just temper how they look to attack, because when you get that kind of pace against you and someone's had a chance, you then just put the brakes on a little bit.
Emiliano Martinez, who's not missed a minute since arriving from Arsenal, what a signing he's been. 7 clean sheets, that's more than any other goalkeeper, and Villa more than any other Premier League team so far this season. 7 from their 12 matches. They're a couple behind because of a couple of postponements earlier on in the campaign. And Tyrone Mings had to be there even after the ball had got past Martinez to hook it away, but I think it was going wide anyway. There was real fortune in it. It was a terrible attempted back pass on the near side, wasn't it? Hit Eze, bounced to Benteke, first time ball into Zaha, and as Paul said, he probably should have scored. Villa need to settle. They've got the ball up towards Watkins. That's headed away from above him by Dan, but picked up by this busy Villa midfield in their famous claret and blue jerseys and white shorts, and they've worked it quickly. A free kick to Grealish, left corner of the 18-yard box, out towards the left-hand side. Targett's cross is blocked. It's worked out to the far side. They'll come away with Schlupp. Schlupp is brought down over on that far side there by Douglas Luiz, who we mentioned a little bit, didn't I, about Suso, the former sporting director of Villa. He was much criticised for some of his transfers, but I would say Luiz probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, I would honestly agree with that. I mean, I think some of the signings were not great.
No,
Samatta, people like that, and Kamba, who really hasn't
I thought he was marvellous.
Well, yeah, you see, funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think they brought in people like Danny Drinkwater on loan and things like that. This season round, the signings, Ollie Watkins to start with has been a magnificent signing for them, and I think they've learned. And we often, Toby, think football, the most important thing about football is what goes on the pitch, but we're beginning to learn how important recruitment is, and if you get that wrong, just how much damage you can cause to your club.
Well, the very, very best, without a shadow of a doubt, is, I was going to say Klopp, but Liverpool. I think I can think of one signing, and that's Karius, that's failed since Klopp arrived. So otherwise, just magnificent. And look what's happened to them. European champions, Premier League champions. Oh, dearie me, I thought Targett might have fouled Benteke there. He didn't make much of it, Benteke, as he was being grabbed from above, but especially now that Villa have brought it away and are on the attack, and a good attack towards Ollie Watkins, inside right, tries to take it past the defender, shoots, good save by Guaita, but turned home anyway. Aston Villa have the lead just past the 4-minute mark, and it was really very, very simple. I'm not totally sure whether it was fairly or not, I have to be honest, from down on the edge of their own area by Matt Targett leaping over Benteke, but they then bring it away. A good ball by McGinn towards Traore, who cut in from the right-hand side, worked it on to Watkins. Watkins' effort really well saved by Guaita, but Traore then followed it up, and he scored to give Aston Villa the lead. And that now is 2-2 for Bertrand Traore.
Well, what you have to look at is this is what happens in transition. Palace were attacking. Van Aanholt's gone down the left, and when they win it, McGinn passes it into that left side where Van Aanholt should have been. Now Traore and Ollie Watkins are 2v1 against Scott Dan. He cuts it out to Traore cuts it out to Watkins, who now is 1v1. Dan is slightly bent out of shape, and he shoots. Good save.
Really
Traore
good
scores.
Save, actually, wasn't it? Really magnificent.
I was sitting there thinking this game is just a little bit too open.
Yeah.
And for both sides, really. And this thing about transition is hugely important. When Villa won it, they passed through the lines far too easy. Palace were bent out of shape, and we spoke about the legs, the lack of legs, the recovery running. Running back towards your own goal is the hardest thing to do, especially when you've travelled up the pitch 50 yards, and possibly that lack of legs in the middle of midfield showed then, because the ball popped out, goalkeeper made a great save to where defending midfielders should be, and Traore puts it in the net.
Aston Villa lead the Paul Mortimer derby by 1-0. Crystal Palace have the ball. It's looped into the air by Luiz. That's a poor nod down there by McArthur. And it's dropped to the goal scorer, Traore. Worked out towards the right-hand side for Matty Cash, this man making his Premier League debut season after arriving from Nottingham Forest.
It's a good signing, by the way.
Yeah.
He's taken to it very well. This is too open. It's just too open. There's too many gaps.
They're coming forward again here. It's Ghazi. He's easily turned away from Kouyate. There's the cross towards Traore, and it needed Van Aanholt to head it over his own crossbar, and Aston Villa have a corner.
And Palace are all over the place in transition when the ball is lost. They lose the ball, and there's just too many gaps. Ghazi can turn without moving. Didn't come towards the ball. No defender near him. Turn, drive, twist in and out, and put the ball in the box. Roy Hodgson, who is a manager who understands transition and how sharp they should be defensively, will not be happy.
Bearing in mind they could have already had the lead prior to the goal going in as well. It's the goal scorer that'll take the corner with the long dreadlocked hair dancing down the back of his neck, and it'll be a left-footed outswing. It's poor, doesn't beat Benteke, the first man. It'll come out towards Jack Grealish. Is he fouled? There he is.
Yeah, he plays for the foul, though. He waits to the very last moment when you know that Milivojevic is going to go for it. Then he nicks him in front of him. He does it all the time. Very clever. I've got to say, very clever. Plays for the fouls really well.
He is improving more and more. Dean Smith has spoken about him in great detail prior to this game. Talked about the improvements that he feels he can make. He says that he sometimes drops a bit too deep because he wants to be so heavily involved in the play, but there's barely...
I don't think he can make the improvements at Villa, is my opinion.
We'll ask more about that shortly, but in the meantime there's a free kick in a good position here, probably on the absolute extremities of a shot. Traore's trying to bend it in instead. He's found a player on the near side. It was Hause who'd come a long way forward, but his hook ball back across the 6-yard box went a long way to the far side, and then safety first over there. It's away by Van Aanholt and into touch on the far side. Throw in taken by Grealish, gets it back from Traore, tries to muddle his way through a number of bodies. It's going to break loose to Ghazi again. He's got free to get the cross in. That's come away towards the near side. Watkins got really beaten by the spin on the ball, and it comes to the near side. It'll be picked up by Douglas Luiz, the Brazilian international, and he comes back to Hause, and Aston Villa will build from the back, leading by 1-0 on Premier League Live. Full commentary with Toby Gillis and Paul Mortimer this afternoon. We will of course keep you up to date with any goings on in the game that's also being played at the same time between Fulham and Southampton. Fulham, when they all looked dead and buried very early doors, suddenly looked like a team capable of competing, so that one might be closer than you might have thought, as a challenge comes in over on the far side on Ghazi by Kouyate, and it's a throw into Aston Villa high up the field.
Well, look at that ball, 50 yards, and defenders nowhere near Ghazi when he gets the ball. Palace feel like they're still in the dressing room. It's just too open. Look at Luiz wins the ball. There's no one near him. And if you look at Bertrand Traore now, if they get the ball into him between the lines, they just don't seem to be tight. Look at Luiz. Luiz, no one on him. He can turn and play. Look at Grealish. No one on him. They just don't seem to be aware of what's going on around them.
Is that the extra man we spoke about in the build-up as well, though? I'll ask you about that in a second, because Ghazi looks like he's getting away. Kouyate comes across, slides in on him, and it bounces behind for a goal kick. Is that the extra man that we were talking about?
Yeah, but you see, what should happen is the back four, mainly the two centre-halves and the goalkeeper, should see it. They should see, because they can see the whole game developing, and what they should be seeing is, he looks like he's in a bit too much space. What is going on? I'm going to have to start moving players around and making them aware of what's going on around them, because sometimes when you're a midfielder, you're watching the ball and you're watching your man, but to your other side might be someone else that you need to keep an eye on, and you need communication from the back.
If you want to get in touch with us, you're more than welcome to. At TalkSport Live is the Twitter account to do so. Give us predictions. 10 minutes in, Villa leading 1-0 already, so don't say 0-0. And As always, I like to ask you for photos. I'm sure many of you are perhaps listening in different parts of the world to where you normally do because of Christmas. Hopefully you have had a more free Christmas than those of us in the UK who have found it very, very tough, as I think an awful lot of the world has. So I hope you've had a lovely one wherever you are. At TalkSport Live for predictions, thoughts, festive messages, whatever you want to say, we're here for them. And Douglas Luiz is now in a bit of a rant at the assistant on the near side, thinking that he didn't take the ball out of play as he juggled with it. I think the referee's given a free kick, actually.
Well, I can't say. I mean, he did flick it over when Aanholt, who knocked it out of play, but the ref's given something else that I didn't see.
Yeah.
But Palace need to settle down, because their biggest worry is when they're attacking, I've got to say, because as soon as the ball changes hands, it's almost like they don't want to defend or win the ball back or shut people down or press.
Dan took it short to Milivojevic, forward ball, beat Eze. It's headed clear by Aston Villa, picked up by Van Aanholt. This is McArthur turning away from Traore. It feels like there's 3 Villa bodies for every one Palace body at the moment, but it is with the London club, although McArthur's run into Douglas Luiz, who's emerged with it and spins it using the outside of his right boot to Targett. Targett's ball up towards Ollie Watkins, and that was just caught by Ward and turned into touch. Otherwise he'd have been away, Watkins. Luiz, is there a push in the back there on El Ghazi, who started like an absolute train? Don't think he overate on Christmas Day.
Feels like a lethargy in Palace.
Yeah, then maybe they did.
Yeah, it just feels that way. There doesn't seem to be that, because they're always ultra competitive on the point of things, and at the moment there's a lethargy about them, just a little bit.
Grealish thought about taking the free kick quickly and a little trick one down the side, but instead he's taken his time. He's allowed Hause and Mings to go forward. He's taken it short to Traore, who sent the ball in towards the near post. There was a diving header attempt by McGinn, just couldn't quite make contact, and it's into the arms of Guaita, dressed all in yellow, away to our right hand side. Eze tackled by Cash, but it's run kindly for the Londoners. Slipped down the left by Van Aanholt. Zaha was never going to reach it. Back again it comes, but picked up at the back for Dan. Now Kouyate, this makeshift centre half really, down the middle for Milivojevic. So they're having to work so hard just to get to the midpoint of their own half, but they have done it this time. Van Aanholt leaves it for Eze. Eze to McArthur, now slap bang on the centre circle as Milivojevic. To the left for Eze, inside left, and Van Aanholt had gone. Eze could have found him, but his pass into him was blocked by Cash. Came back to Eze, the former Queen's Park Rangers man. Milivojevic, they've now worked it right for Ward into Zaha. He's managed to make his way down towards the byline. The cross is too much. Eze will keep it in on the near side. Cash with him. Eze, who's available for him? McArthur's going to come forward. Running down blind alleys though. Back to Eze. Moves in from the left-hand side onto Zaha. Zaha gives it to Van Aanholt. It was Schlupp, apologies, gave it to Van Aanholt, and then his cross blocked behind. Corner to Crystal Palace, and they might well feel that set pieces are one of their potential routes to goal.
For now, I mean, Zaha did really well there on the right-hand side, got into the box. Now you're thinking definitely he can clip in a bit of quality, and he's got a bit excited, overhit it. But they just seem to be getting more confident touches on the ball now, Palace, and they're just waking up a little bit.
7 goals, couple of assists I should say this season so far for Zaha. He only got 4 goals, 3 assists in all of last season, so an improvement as Eze takes this corner. In it goes. Oh, that was a decent ball right into the centre of the 6-yard box. Grealish comes away with it. Traore is then tackled. It's come back to Eze, hits Grealish as it bounces into the box, away by Villa. Milivojevic nods it down to Kouyate. Now Milivojevic. That's a good ball up, and they work it out to the left-hand side neatly to Eze. Low ball in. Good handling that by Martinez, and he clutches it at the second attempt. This drilled low cross, and bowls out high to the left-hand side. Now Ghazi.
It's a good game, this. Both sides now look like they just want to go and score goals. They're both going forward. Palace have livened up. Now you can see their threats, but Villa have a top quality goalkeeper, I have to say.
McArthur into Eze in the number 10 position, forced back and out towards the far side by Douglas Luiz. Needs help from Joel Ward. I must say that Crystal Palace have done something that I think should be illegal in Premier League football with their away kit this season, and that is no block behind the number. You cannot see the numbers whatsoever.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Disgraceful. Benteke runs into the left-hand channel. I thought the flag might go up, as is custom now in the Premier League. It does so late, but it is a free kick to Aston Villa for the offside against Christian Benteke. Arguably played his best football at this ground.
Unplayable.
Christian Benteke.
He was unplayable at one stage, and as they've got in on the left-hand side, it's a decent cross, but it's never going to, no one's going to be able to catch up the play to make the run to get in front of the keeper.
Watkins has held that one up well. Bertrand Traore bends it in. Oh, it's hit the bottom of the post. So close. Whipped in with his left foot. Picked up by Grealish on the far side. Back to Traore, whose second effort is nowhere near as close as his first. This one he's skied, leaning back. Terrible technique, but the first one was superb.
Well, the second one made me think the first one was a fluke. But no, he's caught up the play well. Ollie Watkins again, good centre-forward play. Links up well with Traore. Now he's got a lot to do. 3 players come into him. He cuts through 2 of them, comes out on his left foot, and as I said, I'm sitting behind it thinking it's in, but it just doesn't curl enough, does it? But he's looking more of a threat than I've seen him in any other games.
Yeah. He got that confidence boost, didn't he, in scoring for the first time in the league. Wonderful, at least last time out. So it's made a big difference. 2-2 for him now. As a free kick gets taken quickly by Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz moves it to El Ghazi, moving out towards the final third and on the left-hand side. Turns with 2 white, blue and red shirts on him. His cross then leaves a little bit to be desired. It's a fairly easy cutout, that, for Van Aanholt. And then Eze, with the long hair, turns it back to Guaita with the short dyed blonde hair towards the right hand side for Schlupp. He's tackled by McGinn. Targett goes in with him. I think Schlupp's going to emerge with it. It got taken off of his toes. I think could have picked any number of potential little nicks there, Anthony Taylor, to give the free kick. He finally does so at the last, and 18 minutes gone. Aston Villa continue to lead 1-0 in what has been a really bright start this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a positive tempo to it, hasn't there? Both teams are not looking to nullify each other. They're actually going for it, looking to go forward, looking to exploit any gaps either team leave defensively, looking to put the defending team on the back foot and create chances, and it's a lively tempo as well.
John Terry and Dean Smith in deep discussion on the touchline. Been all sorts of talk of John Terry potentially leaving the club, with championship sides beginning to make changes over the course of the last couple of weeks, but nothing yet as Schlupp wins it, works it to Ward. Ward's cross is not the best, to be honest with you, but Mings, it really rather hit his trailing leg. An air kick with his left, landed off of his right, bounces behind. Bonus corner this for Crystal Palace.
Well, it's a poor cross from someone with time, Joel Ward, because at the back post, Palace outnumbered Villa. Stand it up at the back post, 3v2, there's a chance, but Mings has scuffed it. I mean, he's gone through his pass before the ball's come to him, so there's a chance for Palace.
Eze with an out swing up here on his right foot over on the right hand side. Ball comes in, headed away by Targett. Grealish went and chased it. It got knocked back in, but Traore's going to come away on the break, and there's Grealish. He's got a man back with him in Zaha. Can Grealish hold him off? He can he finish? No. Straight at Guaita, bounces out to the far side. Traore tries to burst past Zaha, and Grealish knows he should have marked his 200th Villa appearance with a goal there, but Guaita stood up well.
Well, that's far too easy, I've got to say. I mean, you got Wilfried Zaha running back. Within 2 passes, head out of the box, and within 2 passes, Guaita's making a save. That's just not good enough defensively. That's from a Palace header, a corner. Not good enough.
Corner for Villa. End-to-end stuff. Left-footed cross deep towards Hause. Gets his header on it. It's going to slip behind him towards this near side. Douglas Luiz picks up. Milivojevic is with him. Luiz, couple of little Brazilian-style flicks of his boot. Then he rolls it back. Cross comes in. Might find Mings. Safety first then by Ward. It was Traore that turned it onto Mings, and he couldn't get a shot away, and Ward just smashes it safety first for the corner.
Yeah, I mean, Got to clear their heads, Crystal Palace, and defend properly. Villa have got to look at it and say, for some odd reason, Palace defensively aren't at it. We've got chances here. They are leaving so many gaps all over the place defensively that, you know, they've got to try and exploit these and take the opportunities as they arise, Aston Villa.
The changes that Roy Hodgson have made this season has resulted in the same number of points after 14 games, but they've scored 6 more but conceded 7 more as the cross comes in. That's for Watkins. Did that hit the keeper?
Great save.
And he's made a good save from close range from Anwar El Ghazi as well.
Yep, and El Ghazi should score without a doubt. Again, they win the first header's flicked on. He's headed it back, Watkins, through 2 Palace players. It's landed at El Ghazi's feet. It's a difficult finish, I'm being harsh, because Guaita is literally inches away from him. Very difficult for him to really get enough purchase to get it past Guaita. But again, Villa get a half chance. Again, Palace, I don't know if they're anticipating or reacting quickly enough.
Yeah, one of those where you just blast it and hope that it kind of goes through the keeper, don't you? I think there's no other real way there, unless you could lift it really quickly, but not an easy one. Van Aanholt will take a throw suddenly down this near side, the Crystal Palace left, final third of the Villa defensive third of the field. They're going to get another one a little bit further back now. Van Aanholt to take again. Believe it or not, top scoring Premier League defender since 2015. Patrick Van Aanholt.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, fair play.
20 goals.
Wow.
Van Aanholt has since 2015.
I wouldn't have said that.
No, it's quite a statistic since August.
Is he a penalty taker?
I don't think
so,
he is
off
the top of my head. No, there's McArthur's ball into Benteke. That's a nice spin.
Ooh.
Now, is that a penalty? Referee having a very good look. Van Aanholt was the man brought down by Cash. And, well, he's given the goal kick. Of course, we will have the video assistant referee having a look at this. That this afternoon is Craig Pawson, assisted by Simon Long. Well, the angle we've just seen on the replay again, the camera was moving so quickly I can't tell. This one might be better. I'm not sure Cash gets any of the ball there.
If Cash doesn't get the ball, it's a penalty, because he catches the player.
Oh, I'm not sure. He tried to wrap his leg around Van Aanholt, and did he get the tiniest, faintest touch on the ball?
I can't tell from there. I've got to say, I can't tell. If he doesn't get the ball, he definitely got the man.
It's one of those where there isn't really an angle that helps.
No, there isn't. I don't think he gets the ball.
I really don't.
Genuinely don't think he gets the ball.
Wraps his leg around and catches Van Aanholt.
And he does catch Van Aanholt.
Plenty of him as well. See, I've got an issue with these. Even if he does get the ball, and I know this isn't the rule, but even if he doesn't get the ball, he hasn't diverted it away to such an extent that he hasn't then impeded the player preventing a goal-scoring chance. I think it should be a penalty whether he gets the ball or not.
No, I agree, because, you get the ball, fantastic, but have you fouled the player? Has the ball gone off the pitch? No. Did Van Aanholt still have the opportunity to make something out of it? Yes, he did.
He's still in possession, even if you've touched the ball away from him, but we wait and see.
Well, he's going to have a look. Oh dear.
Anthony Taylor goes to have a look.
You know what normally happens with these?
Well, normally, I think we've seen a few more recently where they've stuck with the original on-pitch decision.
Why'd you go then?
Well, I'll tell you why he's gone now. He's gone now because the VAR has gone, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And surely, clear and obvious error, well, it's not clear and obvious because you don't know whether he's touched the ball.
Yeah.
If you don't know whether he's touched the ball and you haven't given it, then you can't give it. Dean Smith was very, very angered in a home game recently, late on, where Aston Villa had a penalty given that then got ruled out against Brighton.
Yes, I remember that.
Late on. Is he going to get a bit of fortune with this one?
He doesn't get the ball.
There's a great angle.
That was the best angle you've seen.
Directly behind.
He doesn't get the ball. That's what they're looking at. He doesn't get it.
It bounces, sort of. His leg looks like it should touch it, and then it bounces over. I think he's going to give it.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's not giving it.
He can't be sure. I think he just can't be sure.
Yeah, he can't be sure. No, he can't be sure.
Well, there is some controversy.
See, it's bizarre that he can't say for certainty that Cash touched the ball. He can't. One thing you can say for certainty is that Cash caught Van Aanholt, for me, that alone should make it a penalty, because he cannot be 100% sure that he saw Cash touch the ball.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Referees will say, well, I wasn't 100% sure that it was a penalty. So which is the 100% that you go with? Do you have to be 100% sure in order to give it, or in order not to give it? Well,
in order to give it, I think.
I guess you would say, as a fan, we like goals, but equally it changes the game to such an extent that surely you have to be 100% sure to give it. That's a nice ball by Watkins, who was taken out after he released it to Luiz. Slipped down the right-hand side, cross in by Ghazi, who's moved to the right. Cash comes in there, and
he saw
another collision. Yeah, I'll say, absolutely smashed into Milivojevic there. Did Cash, as he tried to go for the ball. To be fair, it's nothing more than a free kick, but inside their own 18-yard box, Palace will have the chance to clear.
Again, the worry for Palace in transition, they give the ball away. Villa pass through the lines and get into their Palace's back four far too quickly, far too easily. Sometimes you blame the back four and the back five for defending, but they need to be protected by what's in front of them. And for Palace today, what's in front of them, I don't think is protecting them enough.
No, they're not well protected at all at the moment. Remember, it's amazing to think, that's not that long ago, 25 minutes ago now, they could have found themselves behind Aston Villa when Zaha went through in the very, very first minute. Here's Eze inside left, high up the field for Palace. Back to Milivojevic. Grealish closing him down. This is the sort of being deep, perhaps, that Smith spoke about beforehand, and he hasn't got the ball, but he has expended some energy and some frustration there as well, as the ball runs away from Zaha, picked up by Schlupp. Centre of the field, moves it to Eze. Eze bends the ball in, far too close to the goalkeeper, and Martinez will clear.
And he's cleared it literally where Van Aanholt should be. Wow. Wow, this is risky football, isn't it?
Yeah, was in the left back position. Grealish was just behind him, and Milivojevic, with the goalkeeper a long way outside of his 6-yard box, rolled it back to him from close range, and was Watkins nicked in there? He's fouled Milivojevic. Goodness me, 28 gone. Villa 1, Palace 0. It could be anything.
Well, you asked me early on about Palace and how they've changed. You saw it there. Eze is just in the side of the left-hand side of the penalty area, doesn't play Van Aanholt into the keeper's arms. Martinez knocks it up the pitch literally to where Van Aanholt should be, and there's a huge gap there. Dan's not quite sure. Poor back pass, could have ended up worse. And what they're doing, Villa, is exploiting when Van Aanholt and Ward go forward.
Hause's knock-on from the long clearance by Guaita went back into his own 18-yard box. Mings has cleared it away. He's managed to find Grealish as well. Nicely done. Grealish now looking over the top for Watkins. Keeper's come out. What's the spin like? Goodness me, Guaita outside of his area. It actually span away from him, and Watkins got the touch. Didn't quite realise that it dropped kindly for him, and it allowed a defender back. Palace are playing games with their own life in this particular game.
That's incredible. I've got to say, it's just too open a game, isn't it? I mean, Grealish turns on the halfway line on the right hand side, clips a lovely ball in, and the spin you think is going to cause Guaita trouble because he's out too far too early. But he's got to go for it, hasn't he? And that could have ended up so many other ways.
It was a terrible bit of hesitation.
Yeah.
You've got to go Manuel Neuer-esque at that point if you're there and just clear everybody out.
Yeah.
Eze, he's found a nice gap there to Zaha, running into a cul-de-sac of 3 Aston Villa players, and he has won the free kick as well.
It's a foul.
Near enough on the edge of the D. He's done really well there as the Ivorian.
Should pass it earlier though. As he's turned, I think, there's Benteke and Schlupp he could pass to. But again, a bit like Grealish, he's waiting for the contact. He's waiting, he's done a lovely bit of skill. Now he's running into 3 players, waiting for the contact. And got it, to be truthfully honest.
It was McGinn that tripped him over. It was, Ivory Coast's gain, I understand, but it was a shame from an England fan's point of view that
he'd have been a superstar for England.
He was not playing for England.
He would have, at that stage, he would have been a superstar. I didn't like the way they went around it, but he would have been a superstar for England, no doubt.
He's made his mind up. No issues with that. And Milivojevic fancies this.
On his day, I've got to say, he's half decent. He's coming at it from a very funny angle, but we shall see.
Not scored yet this season. Here comes the free kick, and It was towards the left of Martinez, but he came across and he clutched it above his head. Quite good handling, that has to be said, by the Argentine. And it remains Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Not really in the corner. It sort of went past it, didn't he, Martinez?
Yeah.
It bent back behind him.
There's
so
a lot of curl on it.
Well.
Those ones you start going outside the post.
Yeah.
And they come back and beat the keeper, and also it's got to explode up his foot at pace as well.
And quickly Villa get up to the other end of the field, although Watkins really barged off that one by Kouyate. Great strength, and then Eze gets tripped up by Traore.
And if you look at the bit that we just saw then of the pitch, how open it is. You know, no players are really close enough to anyone to actually lay a glove on them. You know, McArthur gets the ball now and turns, and there is just no one seems to be pressing or closing people down as much as you'd have thought.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Hause beats Benteke to the header. It drops to Watkins, taken nicely by Luiz. Again, loads of space on the right for Traore. Not with a right foot like that. I think it's fair to say we've seen the best of him on his left.
Yeah, we have. That was a good chance, actually.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's the curse of playing a left footer on the right-hand side. You're relying on him being able to clip a ball in with his weaker foot, and it didn't happen.
As we see once again Guaita coming out for that ball that span towards Watkins.
He got lucky.
Yeah, really lucky.
Got lucky because the ball died. It died on him, and he turned his back, really. I mean, if Watkins had been slightly cuter, I think he could have turned with that ball and had a shot at goal.
Hause has won that header. It dropped towards the near side, the right. Cash on the slide, but can only play it up the touchline and out of play. 32 on the clock. You're listening to Premier League Live. Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0. Still 0-0 in the other game ongoing between Fulham and Southampton. Later on, we bring you Arsenal-Chelsea. Then Manchester City, Newcastle and Sheffield United, Everton happen at the same time. Earlier on, Manchester United twice led at Leicester, only to be pegged back twice and draw 2 apiece. Is that Dean Kiley behind Roy Hodgson?
Yes.
The former guy. He was a very good goalkeeper.
Good Charlton keeper as well.
Yes,
brilliant.
He was. Yeah, he's had a great career in and around London, hasn't he? I think he was at West Brom at one stage as well, if I remember rightly. Here's Dan on the halfway line for Palace, left-hand side to Milivojevic. That's a nice ball through the lines up towards Schlupp. Tried to spin McGinn, and the skill was too good by the Dutchman. Fouled by the Scots. Free kick to Crystal Palace.
Lovely bit of skill. And what's happening is both teams seem to be saying to the other, we'll let you play into the heart of our back four. You can get it and turn there, no problem. Because that first ball in is not being stopped at source. And then you commit fouls like this, and it gives Palace the opportunity to get all their big men up the pitch, and possibly get some sort of attempt on goal.
And maybe this is another opportunity for a set piece. It's dead centre. It's probably halfway between the centre circle and the edge of the D. Drifted out towards the left towards Kouyate. Never really going to reach him, but Hause's header to the near side does. The Senegalese picks up, gives it to Aanholt, tries to slip in. Kouyate never looked confident that he was going to get there.
And that is obstruction, by the way. Did you see McGinn there?
Yeah.
He didn't even play the ball. He literally, but they're never given. I've got to say, I thought Aanholt, take one touch, whip it in.
I think we call that shepherding the ball out of play.
You call it what you want. It's a foul.
Yes, it was a foul.
It's incredible. Refs never give them, and I can't quite work out why.
Well, that is the playing the game versus being just a ref, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you should see that blatant obstruction, because he doesn't. You know, obstructions when you play the man and not the ball, and that's what he did.
Yes. Short play from the goal kick by Villa until they clip it out to Traore. Steps away from Eze. I think it's fair to say that Traore is winning the battle on the near side of the attacking players between him and Eze at the moment, and he's floated that lovely out to the left hand side for Targett. Now on to Jack Grealish. Grealish moves out towards the left hand side, forced back onto the halfway line for McGinn. Now to the right hand side for Cash. Floated ball. Cash, support from Traore. Cash goes on. Traore comes back to Luiz. Now he spreads it out to the left hand side. Immediate take on the right foot of Jack Grealish. Little poke ball in towards the edge of the box for Ghazi, who then tries to wrong foot the keeper by going towards the near post from the edge of the box, and he really scuffed it a bit and dragged it wide.
And it's good play from Villa. Basic switching play, you know, back and forth to open up Palace's midfield back four, and then playing in between the lines. Good turn from Ghazi, and makes a yard, but then just scuffs his shot a little bit. But again, it's all very easy. There's no real resistance from Palace. Pardon my French, not even getting anywhere to kick someone.
No.
They've not got close, have they?
What I like about Villa with the three in behind Watkins is they've all been left, they've all been middle, they've all been right. It's very difficult to know who you're marking if you're a Palace defender.
Well, they're fluid. All the Palace players can do is mark areas and deal with the players as they come into them. But that means you have to be vigilant, you have to anticipate well, you have to be sharp to the point of the defensive issues.
Speaking of sharp, that was a lovely ball to Jack Grealish, and then he spun it into space, and that was awful from Grealish. Very rare that we say that about him now, into space where there was nobody looking to attack. The clearance by Palace, though, picked up by McGinn. Was he fouled over on that far side by Zaha? He was, and it's a free kick to Aston Villa. In fact, the referee's just said, go on, play on, you've got it at the back and there's no pressure on the ball. Douglas Luiz comes over the halfway line, left side of the centre circle. Grealish has had to make a tackle there with his first touch. He did briefly find McGinn, but Palace win it back. Now here goes Schlupp on the far side, and it was Kouyate, apologies, coming out there, and he's fouled by Grealish, who's thrown the ball away and would do well to avoid a yellow card for doing that.
I actually think there should be rules around that. I actually think that you pick up the ball, you get a yellow card. Simple as that, because it causes more friction. It's a foul. It's one of those where you pull someone's arms and apparently it collapses their legs, because that's what happened with Guaita. He got pulled on the left arm and he's got them collapsible legs, and down he went. It was a free kick. Don't touch the ball, because you know what's coming from that, and they're always flashpoints.
We've all got collapsible legs on Boxing Day.
But you have to pull your arms for them to collapse, is that right?
Pull anything, mate, I'll be collapsing, no doubt. Ball into the Villa box is dealt with by Hause. He's an impressive young defender, is Courtney Hause. He's getting better all the time for my money.
That's to wait his turn.
Yes.
Because Ezri Konsa and Mings had put together a really good partnership, I've got to say, and I don't know, all of a sudden Konsa wasn't in the side. I know he was injured or rested, but Hause is getting his go now.
Tell you what, they haven't half got a decent teacher, have they, in Dean Smith's assistant, former England defender, multiple Premier League title winner, John Terry.
They've got one of the best in terms of defence.
He was all right.
Reading situations, just positioning himself beautifully to block every cross. He was a giant.
If he'd have had pace, I'm not sure they'd have ever been a better defender.
Well, if he'd had pace, he probably wouldn't have been the same player. It's the fact that he didn't have the pace is what made him someone who had to read the game then well.
Yeah.
If he'd had pace, most quick players, because they rely on their pace.
Yeah. It was often said of Rio, wasn't it, Rio Ferdinand, at least early in his game.
Yeah.
Where before he joined Man United, and I think Alex Ferguson said to him, oh dear, there was a flashpoint there, it looked like there was a punch thrown. Was that Zaha and Mings? Mings is seemingly trying to get away from it. I thought there was a punch thrown in there.
Yeah, it did look like it.
It hasn't felt like that sort of game.
No, it's not been nasty at all.
Now, what have we seen here? Is Zaha about to get his marching orders? Well, I think it was him.
Well, the thing about it is, with VAR, they'll have a look at it. Yeah. If a punch is thrown, he's a goner.
It's all over, yeah.
And it's ridiculous, because they weren't even competing over the ball.
Well, Anthony Taylor's got a yellow card out for Wilfried Zaha.
Gets involved in any of the.
I love the way he's had to check Zaha's shorts to know who he is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To see the number, as if you don't recognise Wilfried Zaha. Now let's see. So Zaha goes in on McGinn.
So it's a foul.
Goes down.
I see why. No, Mings has just done him. That's why. Mings has just raked his left foot down the back of his leg. That's why. And that's why Mings is calm, because he knows exactly what he's done. If you see it again, you'll see. As they go in for the challenge, it comes down.
So there's McGinn.
That's a foul. Now, if you look at Mings, as he goes to snap the ball, he rakes his leg down the back of Zaha's left thigh.
Did Luiz needlessly get involved there as well?
See, for me, Toby, what should happen there when there's flashpoints is you should only be allowed to touch your player, because if you touch the opponent's player, you're leaving something on him. And I think that should be a straight yellow card as well, because none of that happens, because all you are doing is shepherding your teammate away, so the flashpoint dies.
Yeah, it was a bit nasty that from Mings.
Very strange.
Yes,
yeah. But I saw what he did, and what will happen is when you have your team discussions, you talk about how do you wind up Zaha, because you know what he's like.
Well, I always remember, I'll talk about this in a moment, because Eze is trying to get the ball into the Villa box. It's easily dealt with by Hause. Bertrand Traore back helping out. Douglas Luiz, that's so calm. And then back in the right back position, an easy clearance away by Cash. Picked up in the left back position by Dam. Milivojevic loops it forward. Hause away towards halfway. El Ghazi beaten in the air by Ward. But every single time it seems to be just dropping to the opposition team, although here's Watkins now on the right hand side, easily away from Dan. It's going to reach its way to El Ghazi, brought it down, stabbed towards goal, comes out to Grealish, surely, no, he took too long over it. Schlupp away, and he's got great pace there to defend too, but Grealish comes in with a tackle. Goodness me, it's all go at Villa Park. Grealish brought down there by Schlupp, and that might be another yellow card.
It should be. No need. He's running down the wing. Absolutely, there's two of you there. I mean, that passage of play was a brilliant. I mean, he doesn't need to do it. Doesn't need to do it. He's not even anywhere near the ball.
He knew he wasn't going to get the ball.
No, but you see that. If we actually focus on the play, Ollie Watkins does really well here. You know, backs up Scott Dan, drives past him, clips a decent cross in. El Ghazi needs to take that first time, unfortunately. So does Grealish. He's got to be ready for that. The minute he takes he chests it, Guaita's out really quick to narrow down the angles. Good save. As it pops back, Grealish has to hit that first time. The minute he takes a touch, defenders are out, ball gets blocked down.
Free kick anyway, over on the far side by Traore, headed towards goal by Watkins, and he's put that one over. He's a properly good player, Watkins, isn't
very good. I watched a lot of him at Brentford and always felt he's ready now. He's ready. He played up front for Brentford by himself, and he's probably one of the best exponents of the lone striker that I saw in the Championship last season. And he's been brilliant for Villa. Not scored as many goals as he'd like, missed some good chances, but they're being created for him, which is important.
Yeah, and he is a creator as well.
Yes,
he's not the old-fashioned lone striker, is he? He runs the channels, he works for his team, he makes runs that create space.
He's a very good player. He's underrated at the moment. I think he's a very good player.
He might well be one of those that sort of makes a late England run before the Euros.
Not a surprise. He'd have to score some goals, but he's capable.
Benteke slips in Schlupp, right corner of the 18-yard box, takes on Targett, cuts back in field, and it just ran away from him. Bit of a poor touch and an easy clearance when he stabbed in an awkward cross. Palace deal with it at the back. This is Kouyate over and forward, but wasted. Picked up by Targett, reaches the halfway line, moves it on to Luiz. Now McGinn in the centre circle, back to Luiz again, forward ball and out to the left hand side for El Ghazi. Targett, El Ghazi drives it towards Grealish, well read at the back by Kouyate, but once more it's going to come straight back at the visitors' Palace. And over on the far side, El Ghazi tries to take on Ward, who gets a tackle in, and it's a throw in 10 yards inside the Palace half for Targett to take, formerly of Southampton. Gives it to Grealish, gets it back. That's a good bit of skill away from Schlupp. Down the left for El Ghazi, uses Targett again, who's going to go on. Can El Ghazi find him? It's going to ricochet kindly for Grealish. Now Luiz, ball up to Watkins. There is the old-fashioned number 9 there, holding it up, playing it into Cash. Traore now up against Eze, low ball into the box, got a long way towards Luiz. You could see as it leapt up above him that he was winding up a bicycle kick that with two players just behind him he was never going to get the opportunity to make. And then Zaha runs into Mings. Well, Mings has just been booked.
He's off, mate. He's off.
Tyrone Mings has already been booked for that ridiculous slice down the back of Zaha, and a second yellow, and suddenly 30 seconds or so before the half-time whistle goes, this match has changed complexion. Tyrone Mings sent off, second bookable, can't argue with either of them, I've got to say, and it is going to be Aston Villa leading 1-0, but they're going down to 10.
Well, the minute he lets the ball bounce, you know he's in trouble. He's in trouble. He lets it bounce, you know he's in trouble. He's lost his bearings, now it's 1v1 and Zaha's in control. Clips it past him beautifully, and you know if he fouls him, because if he gets past Zaha, he's in. So if he fouls him, he's off. Now, I can't work out why he's not walking off the pitch. Are they checking it? Maybe.
Well, they can't. It's a second yellow.
He's got to come off the pitch. And again, you know, this is about keeping your head, because when you play at the back against forwards with pace, this kind of thing's going to happen. You're going to have to make a decision that might get you booked. But you can only do it once. So you can't do the things that he's done early in the game and expect to get away with it.
It was lunacy, wasn't it, frankly? Absolute lunacy.
The half-time team talk becomes very different for both sides. They were cruising along. Yes, it was a very good half for both sides, but you'd think they've managed the situation now to half-time and then have a chat about firming one or two things up. But no, completely different now. And Mings is still hanging about and can't work out why.
I don't understand it. He's never done anything stupid on a football field before. He's not even gone off now, and he's supposed to be leaving the entire area of play, isn't he?
Doesn't make sense to me.
Eze readies himself to take this free kick. Well, suddenly the complexion changes, and Palace will fancy this. Eze's ball up to the edge of the box, headed away by Douglas to Luiz to the near side. Dan picks up. Van Aanholt, early ball up towards the edge of the box. It's going to come out to McArthur, to Milivojevic. Took a deflection, and it maybe made it easier for Martinez, as it perhaps took some of the sting out of the Milivojevic shot. But we're now a minute and a half into 4 of stoppage time, by the way. All happened so much at the end of the standard 45 that we didn't have time to tell you about the stoppage time. But good header away by Cash. That Milivojevic's shot took flight, but hit Luiz on the way and perhaps just looped it, that allowed Martinez to get across his 18-yard box. Well, what changes? That's the question now at half-time.
Well, they'll have to bring a centre-half on, without a doubt. I can see Ezri Konsa coming on, because I'm not quite sure at the moment who's playing back there.
Seem to have dropped
McGinn is playing centre-half at the moment. And that's not going to last forever. He can't have that. So Ezri Konsa will come on.
It's with Kouyate at the back.
Surprised at Mings. Got to say, quite surprised.
Yeah, he has. It's a while ago, and somehow it's a bit harsh to say this, but he did once stamp on Zlatan Ibrahimovic in a Premier League game for Bournemouth, for which he got a 5-game ban. So he's not totally got no history in terms of doing silly things on the field.
He has this in him, without a doubt. He has that snap in him every now and again.
They're actually going to make the change right now. Villa. No waiting around. Ezri Konsa coming on, and it's the goal scorer, Bertrand Traore, Burkina Faso international, who's being taken off, but he'll be disappointed. That's a frustration. Arguably it's a frustration for all of us, because I've quite enjoyed his performance so far, quite apart from the goal.
Yeah, but it's sad when you're playing well, and he's played well. I thought possibly Ghazi might have come off, because I think Traore's had more of an impact, but he can do nothing about it, and he feels sorry for him, but it's one of those you just have to take on the chin.
Well, now, what will Palace do with this extra man advantage, and will it be before half-time? We're into the final minute of the stoppage time by my watch, but a lot of that we were waiting for Tyrone Mings to leave the field after his red card. Here's Milivojevic. Suddenly Villa have got bodies in defensive positions. Van Aanholt to the edge of the box, clipped in. This is nice football, and Eze tries the shot on the turn. He didn't quite get the power on it, and it's straight into the arms of Martinez. Well, this is going to be a test of Aston Villa's defensive prowess now in the second half. Can they keep out this Crystal Palace onslaught that we assume will come? Some people, Paul, say it's harder to play 10 men than 11.
Yes, if you don't work harder. See, what needs to happen when you play 10 men is, for the first 10 minutes, you outwork them. You have to break them. You have to break their will. And the only way you do that is by doing that. Often what happens is, as a team, you take a collective mental sort of rest, because you all think you're the spare player. Yeah. That's what happens, and then all of a sudden the intensity drops, and that's why sometimes 10 are difficult to beat.
Yeah. So it's about you rather than the 10 in some
Yes,
way.
It's about you. You have to step up and run faster and work harder and outwork them.
Here's Schlupp trying to get away from Targett. Magnificent tackle, and he's managed to slide it and keep it in play, but his clearance then wasn't the best, and McArthur somehow got away here, and then Luiz makes the challenge, and that's a corner to Crystal Palace. They won't have time to take it, though. A half-time whistle has gone, and they'll be annoyed by that, will Crystal Palace, because you never know when you've got the extra man for a set piece like that. But, well, from an open game that Aston Villa took the lead in after just 5 minutes, and generally have looked the more likely to add to that. Suddenly, we've got a big change. 2 moments of silliness, the first in particular from Tyrone Mings for his first yellow card, and the next one just 6 minutes later saw him sent off. So the second half really may have a different look to it. Aston Villa with 10 men lead this one by 1-0 at Villa Park, but Crystal Palace know they've got 11 against 10 for 45 minutes. Can they turn it round? You'll find out here live on Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio. Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale, weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
TalkSport Legion, assume tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, TalkSportus can defeat it.
TalkSportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
Wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Well, we've had multiple moments of controversy, just the one goal, but I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot more to come second half, judging by what happened at the end of the first. Good attack towards Ollie Watkins, inside right, tries to take it past the defender, shoot, good save by Guaita, but turns home anyway. Aston Villa have the lead, just past the 4-minute mark, and it was really very, very simple.
Running back towards your own goal is the hardest thing to do, especially when you've travelled up the pitch 50 yards, and possibly that lack of legs in the middle of midfield showed then, because the ball popped out. Goalkeeper made a great save to where defending midfielders should be. And Traore puts it in there.
Benteke, that's a nice spin. Now, is that a penalty? Referee having a very good look.
Oh dear.
Taylor goes to have a look. I think he's going to give it.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's not giving it.
He can't be sure. I think he just can't be sure.
Yeah, he can't be sure. No, he can't be sure.
Well, there is some controversy. Zaha runs into Mings. Well, Mings has just been booked.
He's off, mate. He's off.
Tyrone Mings has already been booked for that ridiculous slice down the back of Zaha, and a second yellow, and suddenly 30 seconds or so before the half-time whistle goes, this match has changed complexion. Tyrone Mings sent off Well, Paul, we were talking about it, weren't we? And as you said, you could just see it coming as soon as the ball bounced.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those where it was almost like a slow bouncing ball, and it died on him, and the minute that happened, Zaha's in charge because he backed off, and Mings has headed it into his path. Now he's got it down, backing Mings up. If he just gets the ball past him, Mings has got a decision to make, and it's old school defending. You know, ball and man, but both don't pass. And one did, the ball, the other, Zaha didn't, and it was definitely going to be a yellow card.
It's one of those where now he's sat in the dressing room, probably apologising to his teammates, but really he's apologising for the first one, isn't he? What was he doing?
Well, first of all, he'd be in the dressing room saying how harshly he's been dealt with, and it shouldn't have been. That is page one, number 1A of players who've been sent off, is deny it first and foremost and fight it. But as time goes by, you look at the first one, and they will analyse the first one, and he's raked his foot down the back of Zaha. It feels like they've been having a running battle throughout the game, and there's little bits of niggly bits between them. And again, sometimes when you do get sent off, it's always the first one. You look back on it, you think, could that have been avoided?
Could that have been a straight red?
I think so, yeah, of course. There's a reason why he did what he did. Of course it could have been. You know, of course it could have been. He snapped his leg down to get the ball, but making damn well sure that he was going to catch some of Zaha, and he did, and that's what he got booked for.
So maybe a bit fortunate that he stayed on for as long as he did. Well, look, it changes things in the second half. I'll tell you what, well, some people will hope will change later on, and that is Arsenal's form. They are at home to Chelsea. We heard from Mikel Arteta before the first half of our match. What about from the Chelsea camp? How is Frank Lampard feeling? Well, one of his issues, generally speaking, has been the form of Timo Werner, the superstar striker that came in from Germany. I think I'm right in saying he hasn't scored in his last 9 games in all competitions, but Lampard, again, has had to back him publicly.
Yeah, I talk to him all the time. I don't sense a frustration. I think there's clearly, as a striker, you want to be scoring regularly because you get judged, and he's done it in his career. So, but at the same time, every striker has moments and patches where the ball doesn't drop for you for whatever reason. And the positive thing is that he's getting chances in games, using his attributes to get in the box, to show his speed, to get chances, so they'll come.
Paul, how much, as a player, how far dare you go when talking to your coach about how you're being used? Because, look, you know, I've watched an awful lot of German football over the years, and I saw how Timo Werner was being used, and he would never start on the left of a 3. It just wasn't a thing. He was up top with a big striker, but then given the licence to peel to the left, where effectively the Leipzig team didn't have a player. You know, he joined a fullback there. There wasn't someone whose starting position was on the left, and he just doesn't have that with Chelsea. Well, so would he ever have that conversation with Frank and say, "You're just not using me to my strengths"?
Well, what you're saying is they sort of play the 2 up front. If that makes sense. That doesn't happen anymore. And
he should join Palace.
Yeah, and going into the season and looking at Chelsea, he'll have done his own work. He must have known that. He must have known, and also if you look at the way Chelsea play, especially recently, they've had a big number 9 up there.
It's perfect. That is what he needs.
Right,
play with a big number 9.
But they only play 1 up, and the other 2 are sort of assisting either side. So he's not going to play up the middle. That's just a fact. Maybe in the odd game, but the way Chelsea play, what they like from their number 1 centre forward up front is they like a bit of bulk, they like someone who can hold the ball up but have a presence up there. He's a different type of player, and for me he's a very good player. And furthermore, Lampard doesn't have to back him publicly. No. As long as he backs him privately, that's all that matters. He's doing that to keep the press happy. He doesn't have to do it. He actually spoke out, didn't he, Timo Werner, about how he was finding it a challenge. The sheer volume of the division. Of course, the Premier League is no joke. It is a very tough division. Kai Havertz is having the same issue as well.
Especially this year. Maybe the hardest year to be a signing from another league.
Especially this year. But you see, Chelsea are fine with that. You know, better players than Timo Werner and Kai Havertz have struggled in their first year. Better players have, and then gone on to be superstars. You know, Henry's and Pires and Ljungberg and all of them, Vieira's, all struggled, were indifferent in their first year and went on to be superstars. Give him time. Will Chelsea be able to give him the time that he needs?
Well, we will find out whether they give him another opportunity at Arsenal. It seems like in their current form, perhaps there's nobody better to face than the Gunners. They go to Arsenal 5:30 UK time this evening, and you'll be able to hear that one with Barry Swain and Kevin Watson. Worth pointing out, it's also half-time in the game between Fulham and Southampton at Craven Cottage. Currently scoreless. You will hear from Martin Hopkins as and when anything happens out in West London, but at the moment in just northeast of central Birmingham in Aston. It is currently Aston Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0, but with Tyrone Mings having been sent off for 2 yellow cards right at the end of the half, maybe Crystal Palace will feel they've got an opportunity to come out and turn it on. You'll find out whether that happens very, very shortly here on Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio. Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
TalkSport Legion, assume tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, TalkSportus can defeat it.
TalkSportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
And extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Aston Villa against Crystal Palace from Villa Park. I'm your host, Toby Gillis. Alongside me, the man we're naming this particular derby afterwards, man who played for both, Paul Mortimer. This is Premier League Live. Well, what sort of team talk did Dean Smith have to give then at the break? Because that is lunacy from Tyrone Mings to have been sent off, 2 yellow cards. He's made the personnel change before the break in Ezri Konsa for veteran Traore. I just wonder if it's basically the same system. They've just got 2 behind Watkins rather than the 3.
Yes, possibly going to be the same, but what he can't afford them to do is hang on, is sit back and wait for and allow Crystal Palace to have all the territory and just be pounded at them. They've got to somehow. This is where I think Jack Grealish becomes hugely important, because they're going to need someone who can travel with the ball, relieve a bit of pressure, buy a bit of time with free kicks and things like that, and create the odd chance. So Jack Grealish becomes hugely important for them this half.
More than 45 minutes with only 10 men is never great, but when you play in 48 hours time again, that makes it even less forgivable, I would have thought. I mean, it's, you know, if they get through this, that'll be absolutely fantastic. But like you say, it's not just the fatigue the players are going to have, it's one player less, experienced player who's not going to play the next game as well, so it's a double whammy, and that makes it difficult. Yeah, they lose Mings for Chelsea away, then they've got Man United away, Liverpool at home in the Cup, Spurs at home, Everton at home. Goodness me. They cannot afford to lose players. No. You know, for those reasons. You might think, given that run of games to come, they perhaps can't afford to lose games either at this stage. So this is a huge second half, you think, for Aston Villa, who are getting us underway with Jack Grealish. Let's run you through the two sides. No half-time changes for either of them as Villa come forward quickly. Here's Watkins to Ghazi. There's two in the box to aim for. He's taking his time over on the right-hand side. And I just wonder in the first half whether that would have gone into the box. This time they're a bit more careful with the possession of the ball, and they come back to McGinn. I'll tell you the team as soon as I can. Here's Targett. He again is looking towards the box without actually delivering it in. Now McGinn spreads it out to the right hand side. Ghazi takes it down, and they're just being much more careful. You can already see a change of attitude. Luiz, a bit more time on the ball from Villa in this second half, even in the first 40 seconds or so. Now they deliver a high ball into the box towards Watkins. It's dealt with, and Watkins was offside. Let's quickly give you the team there. Martinez is the Villa goalkeeper. The back four now is Matty Cash, Courtney Hause, Ezri Konsa and Matt Targett, Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, then Jack Grealish and Anwar Ghazi supporting Ollie Watkins up top. For Palace, it's Guaita in goal. Back four, Ward, Kouyate, Dan, Van Aanholt, Schlupp, Milivojevic, McArthur and Eze, Zaha and Benteke. Dealt with the first wave of Villa attack, and now they're going to look for one themselves as Benteke comes forward. That's a good challenge by Konsa to fire it off the Belgian, who it ricochets off and goes behind. But I think, well, I mean, if I tell you what the half-time possession statistics were, Paul, 59% Palace, 41% Villa, that first 45-50 seconds of play suggests that they're changing their attitude towards how much they have the ball, Villa. Yeah, I mean, you can see that. I mean, they could have slung the ball in the box early. There's absolutely no need for them to be passing it around, because then when they do sling it in the box, Palace are set up properly, whereas earlier on they were bent out of shape, and that was a better time to do it. And if the mindset like that changes, you start to let Palace off the hook as far as I'm concerned. You're now not putting them under the pressure you would normally. Another ball forward by Villa, dealt with by Crystal Palace's defence, and again they win the second ball. Here's McArthur into the centre circle for Schlupp, slipping it down the right hand side for the fullback Ward, finds Zaha taking on Hause, twisting, turning. He really rather tripped himself up there, and then helping out in the left back position. I think initially it was a foul outside the box. I think he's grappling with him. Yeah, I thought maybe, but he's not given it, because I think Zaha's got past him, and then his upper body strength, Hause's upper body strength, is what's hauled him back into it. Yeah, I did wonder. At TalkSport Live, if you want to have your say, give us your predictions. We're getting a lot for the later games. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 2, City 3, Newcastle 1. Marvel, Manchester says, but focusing on ours for now. There's Benteke winning a header, as he did so majestically for Villa in the past. Cleared away by the Aston Villa defence. Kouyate slightly awkwardly, with Watkins lurking around him, manages to control the ball, gives it to McArthur, back to Dan, and there's Van Aanholt on the left. Forward ball is loose, Cash cuts it out, finds Douglas Luiz. Now can Watkins turn and run at the Crystal Palace defence? Got some support in the shape of Jack Grealish, square to his left hand side, uses the England international now. He's slipped in, Watkins, tight angle, might get blocked off of Kouyate and span away from the Senegalese. Behind it goes, corner kick. And you can see the problem there.
They win the ball. It comes to Watkins. Now it's just about him and Grealish and about 6 Palace defenders.
Yes.
Where are the rest of the players? Someone has to come, McGinn or Luiz, or someone has to actually come and support. And it's interesting to see if they're actually going to put the corners in the box, because they should. They've still got to attack.
Got to send some defenders up, haven't you, for corners, you'd think. It's going to be Ghazi to take. There's the corner in towards the near post, dealt with by Benteke. It's going to be picked up by Zaha. Can he find Schlupp? No, that's a good one for Konsa to take off his toes, and he's released Grealish. Slips in Ghazi on the left, who stayed this near side from the corner, moves into the 18-yard box. Back it comes to Grealish. Now the Dutchman Ghazi again. Ghazi, that's a lovely trick to get between 2 bodies, gives it to McGinn. And here's Luiz towards the right, moving infield now. Douglas Luiz did once score an absolute pelter for Villa early in his career from distance, but that time he's tried to deliver a pass that didn't come off, and Palace have it back, although Eze's shown far too much of that one to Cash on the far side. Now Ghazi, and he'll go for goal, and it did take that awkward bounce as it dipped before Guaita that can sometimes make it difficult, but he's done well. 5 minutes of the second half gone. 10-man Villa 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Yeah, he's not beating him from there. I mean, especially it's a good deflection, but they'll be quite comfortable, Villa, because Crystal Palace don't seem to be playing with the urgency of a side that have a man more, which I think they need to be moving the ball quicker.
McArthur clipped high towards the left, finds Van Aanholt. McArthur up to Zaha cuts back in on his right foot, turns again onto his left. There's the cross, hits the defender. You heard a brief shout of handball. I think that was just an automatic shout that you get from players nowadays. And Villa's clearance, there was no real claim for a handball there. Up towards Watkins hauled down by Kouyate in the centre circle. Free kick to the home side.
Good attacking play from Ollie Watkins, just buying a foul, just slowing things down and allowing Villa players to walk out rather than having to sprint out and use up energy. Just take a break and walk out. It's a good play. Now see, it's taken a minute to take the free kick. It just allows them to just settle a little bit, Villa.
And you get a little break when you're down to 10 men, of course, as well. High ball from the free kick out to the far side. One in the air by Van Aanholt. Eze turns his back to Cash. He's tackled illegally, says referee Anthony Taylor, who has this season given more penalties than any other Premier League referee. 9 in his 10 games prior to this one. But he's not given a pen in this one. He had the opportunity, we both felt. Decided not to do so, but he has given his 3rd red card of the season. As Palace attack with Schlupp, great pace, and Targett gets in on him, and I think he's turned that onto Schlupp. It should be a goal kick, it is. And sometimes I look at some of the Crystal Palace players' reactions to moments like that, and you'd often see frustration on players' faces. Schlupp's just sort of turned around and gone, okay, fair enough. There was no arguing, there was no real claiming of it.
Because he knows.
No, I realise that, but I just wonder whether they're a bit nice, this Palace team, in some ways.
I think the current behaviour of players is to whinge and moan about absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So it is refreshing sometimes, but that was good play from Schlupp, and that's what they need to do. Palace is isolate players 1v1 and drive at the game, but again they seem a little bit safe as well, don't they?
Yes.
Which is bizarre, being 1-0 down.
And they've lost possession there to Ghazi, but his ball up towards Watkins is dealt with by Ward. Ward drops it into McArthur. Now the high ball up towards Zaha, who slipped as it came behind him. Header away by Cash, on by Ghazi. Watkins won't really bother chasing that one as it drops to Scott Dan. Scouser to Kouyate. Back to Dan again.
Ghazi, right, Ghazi.
Puts it into Milivojevic. To McArthur, I should say, on the far side. Then Dan and McArthur. I think McArthur's trying to lead that sort of change in tempo there. You just saw the disappointment when a pass went sideways that it could have gone forward.
It's just not enough. They need to make the pitch big and wide and move it quickly. Open up Villa's defence and midfield. Make them move from side to side. But you've got to play it at pace.
That's the voice of Paul Mortimer, formerly of Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. As we've mentioned on more than one occasion here, he enjoyed his time at Villa a little bit more. And that is an understatement. Ward's ball forward, a little touch off of Targett, he was able to clear, but the second balls, at least for Palace fans, we're pleased to hear, are being picked up by those in white at the moment. And here's McArthur's high ball out to the left from the centre circle to Van Aanholt. Then Zaha can twist, can turn, playing into Van Aanholt. This is better, tries to cut it back to Zaha. Schlupp will pick it up. He's gone down. I think it was a slip rather than a challenge. And Villa can come away. And there's a chance to break here. He's not seen Douglas Luiz, who's in acres. And instead, the poor pass didn't get anywhere near Ollie Watkins in the right-hand channel.
It's just a terrible pass. We could both see it from here, couldn't we? You know, Douglas Luiz isn't the quickest, but he's got ahead of his defender at the whole pitch. But McGinn's not even. There's not even looks. Not even seen him.
Awful. Hause, just inside the Villa half. Van Aanholt. McArthur. A couple of step overs by Zaha, then he's not been able to step over Douglas Luiz's outstretched leg. Free kick.
Where's the foul? That's about a lovely bit of skill. I mean, he's just a magician at times. If he could just focus on actually creating stuff rather than moaning about things that shouldn't matter, he's going to get kicked. The type of player he's going to get kicked. Just get on with it.
What I was going to say when the Mings first yellow card happened, as Hause takes this free kick, that one's the keeper's ball, is I always remember Troy Deeney, the Watford captain, when they were in the Premier League, saying, we used to plan in the dressing room beforehand to kick him. You'd take a yellow card. It didn't matter. You just make sure you didn't get two. Someone else would get on him once you'd had your yellow.
That's right. You tag teamed it. That's what you did.
Milivojevic fouls Grealish and gets a yellow card himself. Little challenge from behind there.
We see the difference between Grealish. Grealish plays for fouls. In fact, he's played for the foul. If you look at his right leg, it actually just sort of splays out there waiting for the contact, but he gets on with it. And it's gone and he moves. Whereas Zaha, I've watched Zaha 10 minutes later, he's still angered about the challenge 10 minutes ago and doesn't focus on his game.
It's a victim mentality.
But it becomes easy to wind up. As Troy Deeney says, we just take turns at winding him up.
And he did used to do odd things in games against Watford, including at one point they actually managed to get the mascot to wind him up to such an extent he got sent off. It was extraordinary.
That being said, though, I saw some brutality.
Oh, no doubt.
Dished out by the Watford lot. Without a doubt.
I make no qualms about it. They planned it. They got it right. They did. He did torment them as well. I mean, to be honest with you, the year that Palace came up, he won the penalty that earned Palace the victory in the playoff final against Watford. So he, make no mistake that, he was as frustrating to Watford as Watford were to him. But the point being that a Premier League captain publicly admitted, yes, this is how we play Zaha.
That's right.
And by the end of it, generally, he was quiet against Watford.
Yeah, he was.
Generally.
I mean, I think, there's a silly one.
Yeah, that's McArthur.
I saw it impact him. I saw enough games with Watford where the fans would boo and it impacted on his game. In fact, for a long period, 6-7 months, he suffered.
So maybe the naivety there is that there's a Watford player admitting it publicly, but the point being that is the way that some teams will look at Zaha and think we can handle him. Now, having said that, Tyrone Mings was stupid enough to do it twice today.
Well, again, you probably take a booking once, but then you don't get involved with him again.
Exactly.
But unfortunately,
did it again 6 minutes later.
Yeah, while they're up against each other, you're probably the one who doesn't get a booking early on.
McGinn thought about the shot from distance. Instead, he's moved it out to the right-hand side for Cash. From a distance, Cash sometimes looks like Jack Grealish, so I hesitate over him a few times, but he's given this one to El Ghazi and then dropped back behind him. Here is Cash once again. El Ghazi, lovely skill by El Ghazi.
Decisions.
Time to pick out a cross. What's it like? Doesn't beat Kouyate in the centre of the box. That was brilliant from El Ghazi until the delivery.
Lovely skill, but then it becomes decisions. 3 in the box against about 6 or 7 Palace players has to be accurate. Is a chance, by the way.
El Ghazi spun in behind by Douglas Luiz, who's trying to get in the box. What's this cross like? It's towards Watkins. Oh, is that a penalty?
I think he was
Watkins
impeded.
got the ball and then he was brought down by, I think it was Ward, who'd gone for the initial header. Now I think there's a penalty in there.
Well, he's impeded him, without a doubt. I mean, it's good defending to block, I think, Watkins' header, but as he's fallen down, he's managed to land fortuitously on top of Ollie Watkins, stopping him from getting the next bouncing ball.
I mean, he misjudged the flight of the initial cross, didn't he? And that's what caused him to fall onto the ground. You can't tell me that that's not a foul, however accidental it was.
Well,
if that's in the middle of the field, you get a free kick.
Not according to the ref.
Extraordinary.
Well, it's a decision you don't really want to make, isn't it?
Of course you don't, but that doesn't mean it's not in the rules of the game.
No, I'm with you.
Cox's ball up to Watkins is held up brilliantly again. Douglas Luiz wants it on his right foot. Again, too easy to get away from McArthur this time. And he's available on the right hand side is El Ghazi, back to Cash. El Ghazi onto Cash again, and it's too easy for Villa. There's the ball into Watkins. Oh, he did get ahead of his man, but he took a touch rather than diverting it as a shot, and perhaps that should have been towards goal, and instead it was far too easy for Guaita to move to the left edge of his 6-yard box and collect.
Wonderful cross from Matty Cash, and do you know what? It's a poor first touch.
Yeah.
Because if he gets the touch right, he's on for a shot at goal. So it's a poor first touch, but the way they worked it was, beautiful play from Luiz to hold the play up. But what I don't see from Palace when Villa have got the ball is an urgency to go and win the ball back. They're not even pressing, and that's what surprises me more than anything else. They should go man for man and go and press them. Go and press them and go and try and prompt Villa to cough the ball up, because you need to go and score a goal.
Villa are unbeaten in their last 3 without conceding. Perhaps this organisation is doesn't almost matter defensively whether they've got 10 or 11. The fact that they were ahead has really helped them out here. Cash slides in on Eze. Been very, very quiet, Eze, today.
Is Benteke playing?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, you've not heard it, but then that's not his fault. He relies on service. So, Zaha, Schlupp, Eze, they're charged with serving Benteke. He's not had a touch.
He's just had one there.
Yeah, good.
Gave it to Milivojevic. On it goes to Ward, who's coming forward. It's slipped up to Schlupp. Schlupp's got Targett with him, moves it onto his left foot. There's the cross into Benteke, might break! Oh, and he's put it just wide. And Benteke's claiming a corner, and it's gone for a goal kick. In fact, there's an offside decision up against him. That really was close, and there's the service that you're talking about, Paul Mortimer.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to get the ball in there. He's flying at the moment. Best that he's been for a long while. And it just looks like it's harsh.
It's very, very close.
Very, very close.
It's
good
not
touch.
harsh, it's right.
Yes, it's right. Good first touch, but it looks like he's hit with the outside of his foot more than anything else. Oh, no, he's taken a couple of deflections. So it would have gone for a corner, but serve him. Because it looks like he can be unplayable at times, but again, there doesn't seem to be that urgency from Palace, and I don't understand that.
He's got 3 goals in his last 3 games. If you go back a bit further, it's 6 in 55. So I think it's fair to say form of his last 50-odd games. Here's Palace coming forward with Ward, gives it to Schlupp. Back to Ward, number 2. To Milivojevic.
It's all too slow. If you look at how slow it is, Toby, it just allows,
might be a space here for Van Aanholt. And again, McArthur just didn't even elect to try and play that ball. Then Zaha, he's brought down by Ward, who absolutely bought trick, and it's a free kick to Crystal Palace in a very good position.
Don't get it. They're just moving the ball too slowly. Because when you open the pitch left and right, it's a terrible tackle. When you open the pitch left and right, then Zaha comes off and Eze comes off the line. They've got time and space to go and exploit. But you've got to move the ball quicker to be able to do that, and they're just not doing it quickly enough, Crystal Palace.
That said, with this set piece, they've got a chance. Milivojevic had a sighter in the first half that bent and caused a nervous moment for Martinez, the goalkeeper. You might fancy this one from left of centre, quite a long way left of centre. Van Aanholt lurked edge of the D, pretty much everybody else in the 18-yard box. Referee blows his whistle. Milivojevic, low shot, poor, hits the wall. Comes back out. Milivojevic is nod in, headed away by Conser. Drops down only as far as McArthur. There's the cross, there's the goalkeeper. First touch from the keeper was awful with his hands, but it's fortunate that it dropped away from the Palace attackers and he was able to claim at the second attempt. All in bright green, away to our right hand side. Villa attacking the famous Holt end at Villa Park. Double banked stand. Tell you what, when they're roaring you on, that must have been quite something, Morts.
It's an incredible thing. It really is. You know, these fans are wonderful, and it is so sad that they're missing, you know, just being there again. I mean, I really can't wait till fans are allowed back in and see the whole end rocking again, and hopefully Villa being a successful side.
Where in this modern world could Villa get to? Because you made the point before the game that this is a huge club. This is one of the very few, very select group of English clubs to have won the European Cup, albeit a long time ago. Could they ever get back to that stature, or has it just passed them by now?
No, they could get back to that stature, but it will cost.
Yes.
And yeah, as we all know, I mean, I'm looking at the league table at the moment. You look at the teams at the top and the money that they've spent. You know, and there's still no guarantee of success, but that's where it is, and it takes a little bit of time. Plus, you have to consider the quality that's already up there. You know, trying to get over that is going to be difficult and cost a lot of money.
They've got the fourth richest African in charge in Nassif Sawiris, the Egyptian businessman, alongside Wes Edens, who's an American businessman involved in esports, among other businesses. They've got cash potentially if they want to spend it.
And as we said, recruitment.
Yes, well, they've got this former Michelin man, haven't they, Johan Lange, who arrived in the summer, and so far, when you think of Ollie Watkins, Bertrand Traore, Emiliano Martinez and Matty Cash, you would say it's a 4 out of 4 hit rate.
Yeah, but then if you're looking at getting into the top 10 or top 5, you've got to buy top 5 players. Now, those top 5 players, what is going to entice them to want to come to Villa, who've won nothing?
Well, new contracts for Jack Grealish?
Possibly, yeah.
They've got a free kick in a good position here. There's the cross. Oh, it might come to Watkins, who's hit the bar, and it's home. Surely that's over the line. It is. It's over the line by Courtney Hause. Well, who needs 11 men? Aston Villa with 10 have doubled their advantage. Watkins really should have scored with the first header, with the carnage caused in the Crystal Palace defence. But he hit the bar. Hause was there first. He wanted it more. He nodded it over the line. And despite Guaita trying to claw it out, it was beyond the line. Referee glanced at his watch, points to the halfway line, and Aston Villa have a 2-0 lead.
Well, it starts, I think it's Joel Ward is completely outstrengthed by Ollie Watkins. Doesn't stay with him. The ball pops up. Yep, Ollie Watkins should score. Hits the bar. And there's Courtney Hause to put it in the net, who isn't really being marked as well as you'd like. Not sure what's going on with Palace. Their reactions, their anticipation, all over the place. You know, the Villa players first to everything. Guaita does his best to try and claw it out, but even there, you know, Watkins is already in goal side of Ward, so it's poor defending to start with. You know, and again, Roy Hodgson will be fuming. Really will be fuming.
Just a second ever Premier League goal for Courtney Hause, coming for the first one since June against Chelsea. And my word, now you've got to favour Aston Villa in this one. What a win this would be. Would take them up the table into 6th as things stand, as the ball comes into the Villa box and Martinez claims. They, in theory, could end up after this match day in 5th. You suspect, well, it would need a Chelsea defeat, but also by a few goals. But they are level on points with Chelsea as they stand, with a game in hand.
Well, I'd be saying for Palace, yes. I mean, it's fantastic for Villa with a player less. Palace now are going to have to look to their bench, because it's clear that the team on the pitch needs a shot in the arm. So you're looking at possibly Ayew, Andros Townsend, Batshuayi coming on and Riederold in midfield to just give them more legs and more drive from the middle of the pitch, because Eze has been very lacklustre today. It looks like a change.
Yeah, it's Milivojevic is coming off. It's all a bit too little, too late by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's reactionary instead of anticipating, and that's how Palace have been. Riedewald is just far more competitive and far more energetic and mobile in the middle of the pitch.
Jairo Riedewald, who's today making a milestone appearance for the club, his 50th Crystal Palace appearance. Amazing to think that it's taken him this long to get there. He arrived in July 2017, and really this season is his first that he's become a regular fixture in the side, albeit without having started today.
But it's difficult for him because he was one of De Boer's signings.
Yes.
So
it's fair to say they didn't take to him.
No, they didn't. And that's not his fault at all, because he's given up life in Holland and been enticed over to play for a manager who then gets the sack.
Yeah.
It becomes very, very difficult because they hadn't even settled in the way they were going to play Palace at the time.
Nice touch by Schlupp, knocked it on for Ward. Ward's cross is blocked by Targett. There's no, even at this stage, sign that you feel like they can turn this around. McArthur is just onside. Douglas Luiz makes the block from the cross, and it's bounced away to the near side.
Only takes a goal. And I tell you what, 2-0 is a weird score. Palace nick one, and then all of a sudden things change.
Schlupp fighting for it. Emerged for Grealish though. Grealish bounces it off of Ward, near side. And that's a throw in. But we said, didn't we, about getting defenders forward for set pieces, why it was still worth it? And the ball was considerably over the line.
It's always worth it. It's always worth it. But again, the desire to defend there just wasn't there. I mean, the first ball in, Joel Ward, if he marks properly, he gets there first. But this desire to grapple players to the ground. Now, if they're stronger than you and they win that battle, as Ollie Watkins did, they get a shot at goal. If you defend properly and mark the area and see your man, easier to defend.
Another flick on, nearly found Watkins. Kouyate won it though, and it's dropped to Ward on the near side. Riedewald to the right of the centre circle, rolls it across it to Dan, who's coming forward. Out to the left for Van Aanholt. He doesn't look like the attacking threat that the stats suggest he is. Eze into McArthur. Riedewald. Ward's delivery far too close to the goalkeeper. Safe hands, Martinez. And he is a super keeper, isn't he, that Argentine Martinez? I like him a lot.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I mean, they got good money for him, Arsenal, but I'd have kept him.
How on earth the Martinez thing happened, I don't really know, because they never actually ever gave him the opportunity, did they, the Argentine? They brought him over as a 17-year-old Arsenal, spent $1.5 million for him from Independiente. And believe it or not, this is only his 28th Premier League appearance today, and believe it or not even more, he's kept 13 clean sheets in the 27 prior.
It's bizarre. Maybe, this is my number one.
Two.
Well,
it's unbelievable.
They're saying Leno is our number one, irrespective. Now, really, Leno, when he got injured, should have been quite worried.
Yes.
Because of how well Martinez has done. But Martinez knows the minute Leno comes back and he's in the side, Martinez knows, no, I can't sit on the bench, not after having done what I've done. No. I can't sit on the bench.
Palace have a corner. It's going to be taken by Eze towards the centre of the 6-yard box. He's been awful today, straight at the keeper again.
Yeah, he's
bowled out quickly to Jack Grealish, and Grealish is having a look across because he can see El Ghazi. Has he got the pass to pick him out? Yes. 2 white shirts with him. It wasn't the best, was it? It did
Grealish.
Find him, but
yeah, didn't find him in the right space though.
Now they'll work it up towards Schlupp, but again easy for Villa's defence.
Schlupp, Eze have been poor. Not good enough.
Here's Grealish. White shirts converge upon him, so he just turns away and moves towards the near side, and then safety back to the halfway line for McGinn. Quietly goes about his business well today, and this time just waited for the touch from behind, goes to ground. Let's waste a few more seconds. 72 and a half gone. Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 0.
Well, McArthur's an experienced player. Should know better than that. The minute you touch him, he's going down. All it does is it fractures the game a little bit. And now, they just take a bit of time, clear their heads. And I don't know what's happened to Palace. That urgency, that competitive edge, that pressing on the front foot hasn't been there today.
Only Manchester United have a lower proportion of their points this season at home than away than Aston Villa. They're going to correct that slightly at this stage. They've got just 7 of their 22 coming at home, Aston Villa. And in fact, Palace have had more points away than at home, so this might have been a bit more even if it had gone on recent form, as Benteke holds it up against Concert. Away come Villa, though. And here's Grealish using the outside of his right boot to bend it into the left-hand channel for Watkins. Holds it up. Grealish goes outside of him. He's used him now. Grealish cuts it back to Watkins. Oh, it was nearly a fabulous goal if it wasn't for a stunning intervention, quite frankly, by Scott Down. It's emerged over on the far side for Eze, and Watkins is frustrated.
Well, you feel for Watkins again. Good centre-forward play. Sets it up on the halfway line. Spins in down the channel. Is given to him. Holds the play up well. Very good overlap from Grealish. Gives it to him, but he doesn't stop there. Watkins carries on into the middle of the box. Is cut back beautifully by Grealish, and his eyes light up, and he's thinking goal. It's a goal, and from nowhere, absolutely nowhere, Scott Dance got in the way. You could screamed in frustration to Watkins.
McArthur's come off for Crystal Palace. And they did need to make that change, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. If I'm McArthur, I'm fuming though. When I look at Eze and Schlupp, I wouldn't be happy.
Well, McArthur's some legs in midfield, but the thing about certainly Eze, as we've seen, is he can create a bit of magic at times.
Just not today.
No, certainly nothing so far today, but you said it yourself, takes a minute, doesn't it? One moment, and suddenly you find yourself with a goal out of absolutely nothing. But Michy Batshuayi is the man to come on. Here is Eze approaching the edge of the area. Eze's cross needed dealing with by Cash, because Zaha, who's stationed himself out on the left since Batshuayi's arrival, was coming in behind him. Here is Batshuayi, ball towards the right edge of the area, and there's Ward heading it infield, but away it comes for Villa. And here goes Jack Grealish, and he's already up and over the halfway line. Grealish, he's got Watkins in space. Can he find him? He picks out Watkins. His first touch is poor. It drags him wide. Grealish not making up air space. But dearie me, El Ghazi, first time smashing it, bending away from the keeper. Well, that is goal of the game. In off the post. Guaita with no chance. Aston Villa have found it easier with 10 than they did with 11. 3-0. That's point sealed, and that is a fabulous strike by Anwar El Ghazi.
And that is how you counter-attack, without a doubt. The ball pops out to the left sort of just inside their own half, I think. Yep, it's hoofed out by Courtney Hause. Jack Grealish just inside their own half, travels with the ball, but you can see El Ghazi already running. Watkins makes a decent run. It's played into him, and his first touch isn't great. By that time, El Ghazi's ready. Ball set back to him, and he smashes it into the far post. It's a wonderful finish. There's a crowd scene of Palace players around. There's enough to do a bit of defending, but no one's really doing anything, and no one gets to El Ghazi, and there is no protection for Guaita, and he's not. 2 goalkeepers aren't saving that one. Great strike.
This, in a way, is worse than 7-0 against Liverpool at home, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt, because as I said to you before, when you're playing against a team with 10 men, you must outwork them. But how does this happen? You know, Villa have worked their socks off. Palace just have not. It's almost like they've mentally powered down some of the players. Eze is strolling about, you know, and they haven't been direct. You don't know how Palace are playing at the moment. It's just not been good enough.
Really terrible. But Palace coming forward with Batshuayi now. Ball up across towards Benteke, gets his head to it, didn't get the power on it, dropped quite comfortably for Courtney Hause, who, remember, scored for Villa today. Somehow have gone from 1-0 to 3-0 with 10 men after Tyrone Mings sending off just before the break. Roy Hodgson looks sick as a parrot in his very smart Boxing Day suit.
I would be, because
should have stayed at home for a day with the family.
We see the stuff that he sees as the norm, which is just to roll your sleeves up and fight and work. Palace haven't done that. They've not done that at all. They really haven't, and now they're taking risks, throwing a lot more people forward. And when you look at counter-attackers, the likes of Grealish, who travels well with the ball, Watkins, who makes good runs, El Ghazi, who reads play and supports it well, you'd have to say the goal scoring isn't over yet.
Contract up at the end of the season for Roy Hodgson. He was asked about it before this game, and he said Well, there are some cans you're happier kicking down the road, so I'll continue kicking this one until such time that a decision may be necessary. It's not the right time for me to muddy the waters by discussing my personal situation. Now, I don't know whether that's actually... I'm not 100% sure that I'm staying.
Well, there comes a point where, I mean, he's not been given...
Brighton and Burnley.
Yeah, exactly. He's not been given any money, so he's not been given the resources to do the job that he needs to do, that he wants to do. He's not been able to bring players in that he's wanted to bring in. And I just think it comes to a point where they do need a new direction. They do need fresh ideas. They do need a manager who maybe is a little bit more dynamic, and who can actually light the blue touch paper for Palace and really get them going again. In a way, I think he's been too safe.
Oldest manager in Premier League history. Would he get another job?
Yeah, I think he would. But, you know, and he'd want it too, because he's a football man. It's in his blood. Yeah. But I'm looking at Palace and I'm thinking they can do so much more. But again, you know, are the board supporting him with the resources that he needs? You'd have to say no.
I wonder if he's director of football territory.
Yeah, but I don't know if he'd want to do that because he's a coach. He's a coach of players. And when you're director of football, you ain't coaching anything. And I don't, you know, actually going from being... Because if you look at him and Ray Luna, you ever go and watch Palace train, he's on the training pitch every single day.
Yeah.
Because it's in his blood. Now, to go from that to nothing, not sure.
And Mark Bright in the crowd looking
old teammate
on.
of mine, Mark Bright. I think he works closely with I think Steve Parish and those.
I'll tell you what, he wasn't half a bad striker either.
He was a very good striker.
Bright and right.
Yeah,
they did all right for Palace, didn't they?
I played with him at Charlton in his mid-30s, and he learnt a lot from him actually. Very good player. Very good, intelligent, knew the game.
Nice ball forward for Villa again from Targett, finding Watkins. Here's Grealish moving in from the left-hand side again. Space for Douglas Luiz to take it. Might have hit it if he'd wanted. Instead moves it to El Ghazi, scorer of the third. Patient build-up this by Aston Villa. Batshuayi suddenly pressures McGinn, but too easy. Moves away from him. Here's Cash.
Which team's got the 10 men again?
Extraordinary. Here's El Ghazi.
Look at the Palace players walking. Look at them walking.
No one
is pressurising the ball. They've got 10 players. They must be tired. Don't get it.
Smacked the ball forward by McGinn. That's just to let Palace off for a minute. Let's give them the ball again. Toyed with them really, Villa, today. It feels like they just waited and thought, oh well, we'll score when we need to.
This is, as you said, you're quite right, Toby. This is worse than the Liverpool performance. This will hurt more. It will hurt more without a doubt, because this is a game you could be winning, but at no point do you show the desire.
Zaha up against Cash. There's the cross. Decent cross, just ahead of Schlupp. It'll be retrieved on the near side by Ward. Time to pick across himself. Oh, and there was a little bit of confusion there between Martinez and Hause. And Hause is annoyed with himself because I suspect there was a call that he ignored. He's headed it from his keeper's hands near enough behind for a corner.
No, you make the decision. And what he's done really well there is make the decision. Don't allow any doubt to come in now, as far as I'm concerned. You give away a corner, so be it. You're not giving away a goal. Head it clear.
Yeah. Instead, here's the corner. And Schlupp is being subbed. Another terrible performance from him as the ball comes into the box. It bounces around. Shot by Dan is blocked. Picked up by Grealish. He'll come away and he'll deliver a ball forward. I don't know if he thought that was a teammate in the defensive, in an attacking position there.
Did you see? There were 3 Villa players breaking. 3 Villa players. They're down to 10 players. 3 Villa players apart from Grealish breaking. That's how confident they are in each other.
And how easy it's been, frankly. And what's interesting is that Dean Smith is yet to make a change.
Yeah, I would
see yellow for Eze's foul on Grealish.
I would be making changes just simply because now these players need a break. They've worked their socks off. They've done what they needed to do. The game, you have to say, you know, Palace don't look like they're going to score 1. Don't worry about 3. So there comes a point where
you'd just save Grealish if nothing else, wouldn't you? I know he doesn't like coming off.
Yeah,
it's his 200th game.
Take him off, because you see this situation now is where you could get injured.
Yeah.
when you take too long on the ball when you're 3-0 up against a team that haven't been able to recapture any form.
And muscle injuries when you've run further because of the 10.
Yeah, I totally,
Mind you,
totally
look at the attempts. 18 attempts to 6 in Villa's favour, 9 and 4 in terms of on target. It's actually embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And like I said, and you brought it up, and it's in my head now. This will hurt more, so much more than the Liverpool defeat.
I mean, that's as good a Christmas present as I've ever had. Something made sense from my brain. I'll take that.
No, it's because they've just not worked hard enough.
Nothing, has there? Here's Townsend, who's the man that just came on for Schlupp, working it out to the right hand side. Now he will run around. To be fair to Townsend,
show the urgency you
just
need.
Run the length and width of the field, and he's in possession on the right side of the 18-yard box, twisting, turning him, and Targett does well to get a tackle in. I know Andros Townsend well, and he's a good talker, and he's desperate to prove that he remains a top Premier League player. What's the cross like from him? It's a decent one into the box of Batshuayi. Back to Riedewald, needed to hit it first time. Back to Eze, whose shot from the edge of the box is straight at the goalkeeper.
Well, that's him today, Eze. Lacklustre and trying to pass it instead of smashing it and going for it. I think he's a wonderfully gifted player. I watched him a lot at Queen's Park Rangers, and he was better than Championship level, and Palace is the right place for him. And you just have to think he's having one of those days, but half a dozen of the Palace players are having one of those days, unfortunately.
I'd say nearly 2 dozen, to be honest. They probably could have played with 12 men, and I'm not totally convinced with this attitude that they'd have got anywhere better in this game.
It's a strange mindset. Like I said, when the team goes down to 10 players, any team that I manage, I always say to them, for the next 10 minutes, outwork them. Run forward, run back, outwork them. Because if you outwork them, if that's the way you break them, you break their spirit by outworking them.
Townsend slips in Ward, right side of the 18-yard box. That ball's bending. Oh, I think he's hit the bar.
Yeah, it's not good enough for us.
Just dipped over the goalkeeper. It was definitely a cross. He didn't mean it. And Martinez is very relieved.
Yeah, you get an ooh and an ah from that, but it's not the quality that Benteke wants. He's just not got his foot round it enough.
You could see, though, Targett watching the cross after it went beyond him, thinking, oh no. But Martinez beaten, but it's alright, as El Ghazi, score of the third, came off. And on comes Ahmed El Mohammadi,
who can work the channels well, can't he? As a wing back or a full back, and produces good quality crosses, but has struggled to get into the side.
I think you and I have spoken about him before, and just how his longevity.
Yeah,
it feels like he's been playing in the Premier League since it began in 1992.
He's about 42, isn't he?
At least. He's a super player, and I've spoken to a number of people that played with him that just talks about what a trainer he is, and it's why he's always got Premier League clubs after him, because he's a great influence in the dressing room. He's always fit, he's never injured, always available, and as you say, you get a quality cross from him if you can get him into those positions.
He's a pro's pro, and sometimes foreign players find it difficult to last in the Premier League just because of the sheer volume of the whole thing, but he's dealt with it really well.
Foul on target by Ward. Fortunate, I think, to avoid a yellow card there was Joel Ward. And it'll be Hause that takes the free kick high out to the right hand side to El Mohammadi. Takes the ball off of Douglas Luiz's feet. There's McGinn to Watkins. What they'd really like now is a goal for Watkins, and Grealish has played him in, and it's a great chance, but he's fired it straight at Guaita.
What a wonderful passage of play. If they'd scored that, we'd be screaming from the rooftops, wouldn't we? 5 or 6 one-touch passes ends up with Watkins with a chance he should score, by the way.
Yeah. No goals in 5 for Ollie Watkins. You can almost see Grealish wants to get him a goal, can't you? It's almost more important to him than scoring himself as he goes at it now. And again, there was almost a moment to shoot there. Instead, what a pass to Watkins! And he's made the mistake again! He's hit the post!
It's not happening.
What a chance that was! How on earth has Watkins not scored?
Well, what you look at is the vision of Grealish. Exactly what you said is coming true. He desperately wants to find him a goal, and it's a wonderful, he's going back with a wonderful reverse pass that no one sees. Wonderful reverse pass. And the unfortunate thing for Watkins is it bobbles up just as he goes to strike it, so he's kind of topped it a little bit. He's kind of got over it a little bit, which is a shame.
Palace at the other end. That's poor away by Luiz. It found Riedewald, but he's put it over. That, I'm telling you, from Jack Grealish, is pass of the season.
Oh, it's a wonderful pass.
That is sensational.
It's a wonderful reverse pass.
He's taken out 3 players without looking. It was. I give kudos to Watkins to know to make the run. It was such a disguise.
What you have to recognise also is it's not just that he's taken 3 out, it's the weight of the pass. Watkins doesn't have to take a touch. It's set up beautifully for him, but it just bobbles just as he's about to strike it.
You're being a bit generous. I think he should score.
Of course he should score.
Away it goes by Martinez. Down by Eze to Kouyate, who's not a centre-half, by the way. I know they've got injury troubles, but he's not. Here's Batshuayi. Now Townsend, Eze, Batshuayi. They're playing Ole football when they're 3-0 down. Eze hits it from distance straight at Martinez. He's getting an 8th clean sheet of the season here today, Martinez. And he might be one of the signings of the season.
It would have to explode out of Eze's foot to beat him on the form he's in at the moment. It's just not going to happen. There's Tom Heaton there, who I think is looking at it and thinking, I might have to go out on loan.
Yeah. He's never getting another club, is he? Another game at Villa.
He's not going to. He's not going to, because this lad has come in and improved them. No disrespect to Tom Heaton, he has improved them.
And Heaton is a wonderful goalkeeper. We should point
not
out.
Just a keeper, but a leader as well.
Yeah.
He's a huge influence behind the scenes, and he's on the verge of England, wasn't he, when he got injured? So that tells you the pedigree.
Yeah. Batshuayi, deep position, gives it to Townsend, worked out to the right hand side. We've got 30 seconds or so left plus stoppage time. Townsend, Batshuayi running into space beyond. Benteke found his Belgian teammate. Batshuayi hasn't scored a goal since January. It was in the League Cup. Hasn't scored for Palace since returning. Is Eze from the cleared ball by Villa out to the left hand side. That's a nice one into Benteke, but can he turn? He's got so many bodies around him. Eze wanted another shot. It's a poor pass, and then it's drilled high over the bar by Ward. Townsend applauding the idea as we move into the first of 3 minutes of stoppage time. If this was a game in Germany, the referee would blow up on the 90 because it's so one-sided.
I think Roy Hodgson would have preferred it being blown up a little while ago. I'm just baffled as I watch it, and for me, maybe I'm trying to defend it. Maybe there's fatigue setting because they just haven't showed. When a team goes down to 10 players is when your urgency levels sort of peak, and you liven up, but it doesn't. There's been no change from Crystal Palace at all, and that's the thing that surprises me.
Might be a final change this for Aston Villa. They're taking off Douglas Luiz, and there's just a 3rd ever Premier League appearance for Jacob Ramsey, youngster that came through the system, just 19 years of age. And he has been out on loan at Doncaster, where he got a few goals, 3 and 7 last season in League One, but he's hoping to make a bit more of an impact in the Premier League now, an attacking player. But his team are defending at the moment with Batshuayi coming in from the right. Townsend just got in his way there, but he's rolled it across to Eze to Van Aanholt. Zaha to his left if he wants. Instead he's put it into Benteke, who's hit the side netting.
Again, too little too late. I feel sorry for Benteke. Relies on service, hasn't had any. And it's all too little too late. Like I said, they're showing urgency now. They're 3-0 down and the game is over as a contest. When it was there to be competed for, they didn't compete.
No.
They didn't do the ugly stuff. They didn't work hard enough. They didn't put their foot in. They didn't they didn't run about enough and tackle and compete. And Villa are worthy winners. And let's be honest, 3-0 flatters Palace. Yeah. It really does. You consider Ollie Watkins missed 2 good chances, so this should be 5-0.
Leicester at home, Sheffield United at home, Arsenal away, Man City away, West Ham at home and Wolves at home are Palace's next 6 league games. They've got Wolves away in the Cup as well in the mix of that. There's no easy games in there. Even Sheffield United may be beginning to build something. I know it's still yet to win a game, but they will hope that they might find a way against a team this lacklustre. They'd want a performance like this against them, Sheffield United, I'll tell you. Here's Zaha coming in, and that's smashed over the crossbar, and that just about sums it all up. Not even close today, Crystal Palace.
Well, you want me to talk? There's very little you can say. I mean, it's been very poor, and you know it's normally Raylu or Roy are out on the sidelines, encouraging, screaming and shouting. They've not said a word. Dave's not. He doesn't know what to say.
Roy Hodgson, doesn't he? Absolutely miserable.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think he's going to have to be very measured with what he says, because they've got another game in 48 hours.
Yes.
Or whatever. So he's going to have to be very measured with what he says about his side. You know, it's an experienced side. It's not a side full of kids. As you said, it's one of the oldest sides.
There goes the full-time whistle. Well, my word, that is an embarrassment. Inside right, tries to take it past the defender, shoots, good save by Guaita, but turned home anyway. Watkins' effort really well saved by Guaita, but Traore then followed it up, and he scored to give Aston Villa the lead.
Running back towards your own goal is the hardest thing to do, especially when you've travelled up the pitch 50 yards, and possibly that lack of legs in the middle of midfield showed then, because the ball popped out, goalkeeper made a great save to where defending midfielders should be, and Traore puts it in there.
Benteke, that's a nice spin. Now, is that a penalty? Referee having a very good look.
Oh dear.
Taylor goes to have a look. I think he's going to give it.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He's not giving it.
He can't be sure. I think he just can't be sure.
Yeah, he can't be sure.
Zaha runs into Mings. Well, Mings has just been booked.
He's off, mate. He's off.
Tyrone Mings has already been booked.
He's off.
For that ridiculous slice down the back of Zaha, and a second yellow. Tyrone Mings sent off. There's the cross. Oh, it might come to Watkins, who's hit the bar, and it's home. Surely that's over the line. It is. It's over the line by Hause. Grealish not making up air space. But dearie me, Ghazi, first time smashing it, bending away from the keeper. Well, that is goal of the game. In off the post. Guaita with no chance. Aston Villa have found it easier with 10 than they did with 11. 3-0. And it really was as simple as that. That's just about time up for me, I'm afraid. You've got Chelsea and Arsenal to come next, but this one was easy as you like. Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 0. My thanks to Paul Mortimer. I've been Toby Gillis, and this has been Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated Talk Sport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at talksport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to talksport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new Talk Sport swimming pool. Golf! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10 when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Durham, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on Talk Sport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Talk Sport.
Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. TalkSport. Premier League Live with Talk Sport. All the big goals and big moments from the world's biggest football league.
They get a second. Here they can! Mason Greenwood with a wonderful turn past Bonner. Jamie Vardy wins the game for Leicester.
Bringing you the best of the Premier League all year round.
No! It's a cracker from Kane to almost break the crossbar.
Leeds United, who have huffed and puffed all game long, have finally blown the Everton defence down.
Thumping head up, and there is goal number 5 for Manchester City, and it's a hat-trick for Riyad Mahrez.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Arsenal against Chelsea from the Emirates Stadium. I'm your host, Barry Swain. Alongside me, the former Tottenham Hotspur and Reading midfielder, Kevin Watson. This is Premier League Live. Merry Christmas from North London, although not too much to be merry if you're a Gunners fan. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta stepped into the job a year ago today, and whilst he was initially praised for FA Cup glory, he's now a man under pressure. And with the team spiralling down into a relegation battle, all eyes are on him. Chelsea, well, they return to winning ways against West Ham just a few days before Christmas and will want more points. Hunt Frank Lampard also keen for revenge after losing to Arsenal in August's FA Cup final. Arteta and his latest throw of the dice sees Arsenal make no fewer than 6 changes. Pablo Mari, you might well ask who? Well, Pablo Mari is a central defender who comes in for his first Premier League action since June. No David Luiz or Willian. We understand they are ill for Arsenal. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Emil Smith-Rowe and Gabriel Martinelli get a rare start. Alexandre Lacazette returns, and so too, after a 3-match ban, does Granit Xhaka. So Arsenal will line up Leno in goal, back 4 of Bellerin, who takes the captain's armband, Murray, Holding and Tierney. A midfielder, Martinelli, Xhaka, Emil Smith-Rowe, El Neni and Sakho and Lacazette up top. What about Chelsea? Well, they've just made the 2 changes. Reece James returns. He's fit. Ben Chilwell is also fit to start in the other full-back position. And Matteo Kovacic, comes in for Jorginho in the midfield. So they line up with Mendy in goal, back 4 of James, Silva, Zuma and Chilwell, Kante, Kovacic, Mount, Pulisic, Werner, and leading the line is Tammy Abrahams. Alongside me at the Emirates this afternoon is Kev Watson. The good thing about social distancing in this day and age is a Boxing Day usually sees us crammed in to a tiny space. Today we've got more room than an astronaut. Kevin, earlier this week Saturn and Jupiter were sighted together. It reminded me of this game because these two are worlds apart, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, they certainly are at the moment, Baz. Merry Christmas to you and to everyone listening in today as well. Real mixed fortunes for these teams, isn't it? Chelsea sitting there in 5th, poised to pounce, possibly can go second with a win this evening. And Arsenal, what can you say? They are struggling like anything at the moment, loitering in 15th, and the old saying, too good to go down. Well, we've seen before, nobody cares if you're too good or you think you're too good to go down. If you finish the season below that line, you are gone. And, you know, we're only 14 games in, yes, but they need a real change of fortune.
I was talking with Rodney Marsh on one of his radio programmes a couple of days ago, previewing this, and I alluded to Rodney. It was probably his day and age that we last saw a big side drop out of the top flight in, say, Tottenham and Arsenal back in the mid-70s. It's been a while. I think Arsenal have got enough, but they're really starting to peer over their shoulders at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're in absolutely terrible form, aren't they? Lost, drawn, lost. I mean, that's nowhere near good enough for a team of Arsenal stature and for a club of Arsenal stature. It's arguably, along with Sheffield United, the worst form in that bottom 6 or 7. And at the moment, they just don't look like winning a game. And you look at Chelsea, they're coming here this evening, and they've got so much attacking prowess in their side. And I can see it being another sticky evening for Arsenal, in all honesty.
Listen, we're given a team sheet. It's very difficult to sometimes ascertain the reason for people not being on that team sheet. But there's no Willian, there's no David Luiz, cast-offs from Chelsea. They're not on the team sheet at all for Arsenal today. The rumour going around the place and on social media, we can't put any substance on it, is that they're ill. It's another 6 changes. They don't know their best side, do they?
No, they do not know their best side, and it's not going to help. They got absolutely trounced by Manchester City, didn't they, here in the week? They were